We're on.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Township, Parsippany-Troy Hills, Township Council Special Meeting, April 1st, 2013. Public invited, public participation. Meeting called to order by myself at 6 p.m. Please rise for a flag salute. Right behind me. Mr. Graphic. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Ferrara.
Here.
Mr. Nelson.
Here.
Mr. Stanton.
Here, others present, Mayor Barbario, Jasmine Lim, Business Administrator, Paul Cosarelli, Assistant Business Administrator, Yancy Wazirmis, Township Clerk. The agenda is means to the extent known as follows: review, discussion of the Mayor's 2013 budget recommendations. Formal action may or may not be taken.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the municipal building on March 20th, 2013, where it has remained posted since that date. Copies of this notice appeared in the Daily Record on March 22nd, 2013, and were faxed to the Star Ledger and various other newspapers and local radio station on March 20, 2013.
Okay, first section, Department of Human Services, Barbara Ivoli. Director, Department of Human Services, Carlo Delizia, Health Officer, Dean Snook, Chief EMT. First one to be Office of Health, 4:30. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I did bring some handouts for you on our statistics. I did bring some handouts we'll give you afterwards regarding our statistics for last year.
Okay. Can you just give us a quick breakdown of job description, the overall section?
For health,
Yes.
in the health department, we have 2 inspectors, 2 nurses, a driver, myself, and Carlo, we share services with East Hanover. He's our health officer.
Okay, first thing is salary, wage, budget summary. Any questions?
May I, Mr. President?
Yes.
Barbara, I'm not sure if I should I address Barbara for all the questions, or can I ask Carlo some questions as well?
Both.
Okay.
Carlo, you want to get the microphone? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is only on wage and, you know that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a little experience with the health department, dealing with the health department for about 20 years. Carl, we have 2 inspectors in town.
Yes.
How often or how many times a year do establishments need to be inspected?
Based on, here's the thing, it contradicts each other. Based on Title 26, it indicates that it has to be done at a minimum of on an annual basis. And then if you look at actually Chapter 52, it indicates as often needed. We'd like to be, a little bit more proactive and get them done at a minimum once a year. Other facilities are actually done more often, depending on complaints and classifications of facilities. If it's an advanced preparation facility where they feed high-risk populations, it's going to be done more often as compared to a vending machine or something like that.
Okay. Are we getting to all the establishments in town at least once a year?
Yes, we are.
And if you can, the handout I just gave you, I was going to give it to you later, but you can see food inspections, the 2 girls did 699 last year. So that's going back. If there's a problem establishment, they'll go back there a few times.
Okay. Because I think you know where I'm coming from. My concern is that I'm aware that the inspectors have other responsibilities other than just being out in the field.
Yes.
Doing inspections. Here's my chance to ask you, do we have enough people doing it?
Currently, right now, well, I came on it's been almost 2 years now, and previously, I don't know if anyone really, I actually was an inspector in Parsippany up until about 10 years ago, until another opportunity came along in another municipality. What we have done over the past year and a half is develop software. We've purchased software which will allow us to quantify, to basically see if there is a need. Right now, I couldn't tell you unless I look at the data for at least another calendar year. When I do, I'll be more than happy to report back. I just don't want to say, we need X amount, because there are certain formulas that can be attributed to additional staffing and so on. I can say, sure, we need it. You're going to say, well, why? I need the data to back it up.
Because my biggest concern is, I mean, sure, we're up here trying to cut costs whenever possible, but health and safety trumps everything.
Good.
And
it's a priority.
And I just want to make sure, I mean, it's a big town. I know we only have 2 inspectors, and I guess for at least the last decade, that's what we've had.
Historically, if you only know, it's probably the
50
past
years.
50 years.
Right. But with that,
Yes.
the responsibilities of the 2 inspectors that we have now is much greater than what they used to be in the past.
It has. We've relied heavily on automating the department. That actually has taken the better part of the past 2 years to get it where we need to be. There is need for improvement on that, and we're working on it as we speak. But for the most part, until I can gather enough data, at least over the course of 2 full calendar years, then I can come back and say, hey, listen, based on the last 2, it's something that we really need to look at. But right now, I don't want to be premature. And then, I'm not saying I'm going to have someone just sit in the office and do nothing. There's always stuff to do. But, for the most part, I just maybe ask for a little bit more time.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
And I was going to say, the job evolves, and so do other departments.
Yes.
When we went to municipal garbage, that took a load off of us. So a lot of the garbage complaints go strictly right to Greg Schneider, and they take care of all that, where we were taking care of that before. And the same thing with property maintenance with housing. They pick up a bulk of that. So it balances out.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Other expenses, budget request. I just have one question.
Yes.
What's changing with health, that it's going, health and education, that it's doubling this
Yes,
year?
and Carlo can explain the report that has to be done this year.
Well, it's the GPHP report. Okay. Over the past, actually in 2007, we developed what we call the Community Health Improvement Plan. And what we have done is we've developed a Morris Regional Public Health Partnership, which pretty much consists of all the jurisdictions in Morris County, all of the local health jurisdictions. And what we've done is a cost savings. Instead of hiring an executive director to develop what we call a CHIP, in essence, we've combined our resources and, for the term, in essence, build out for that service. In essence, if Parsippany had to hire their own executive director, it would probably run about $70,000 or $80,000 just to develop the community health improvement plan. By doing this, it's practically pennies. So it's something where we are obligated to provide it. They are in the process of revamping the 2007 CHIP. I actually brought a copy as well, and it provides data in order for us to develop programs such as our the one that Mary is actually running now, the Move Today program, the arthritis program, Better Balance, and so on. So it allows us to quantify. My
Carlo,
apologies. Yes.
Is that a recurring expense from now on?
We are obligated, based on our practice standards, which have already sunset at the end of last year. We were required to do it every 5 years. Until the next practice standards come out, the only thing I would say is maybe let's put that in. It'll be 5 years from now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's something that we'll, note it.
I actually have a question. First of all, I think this is a great tool. I think everybody should come up with something like this. But I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Yes or Very brief, please don't go into a dissertation. Food enforcement,
Yes.
I see 0.
Okay.
That worries me because, as you know, I'm from the food background like Mr. Nelson over there, Councilman Nelson. What does that mean, like 0?
That probably is an old line
Yeah,
there.
we combine that with food inspections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The enforcement
And
provisions.
liquor license inspection was another one, 0. Is there another line somewhere? I'm just looking briefly here for
Yeah,
like 30 seconds.
we put everything, the way the software is now, we put everything in food inspections.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's another line somewhere that I'll find down.
We
later.
could literally, based on, what is that, about a 4-page document, we could back that up with about 700 or 800 pages
Right.
worth
Right.
of data. And
No, but I think
yeah.
it's very good. I mean, it eliminates a lot of questions. I have just one more question.
Sure.
Nuisance complaints, 98.
They can vary, again, if
Well,
it can
what does
be
that mean?
within our public health nuisance code. It can range from, and I know we have a division that handles, garbage complaints. Sometimes it's a joint
okay.
inspection with housing. In essence, that would be an other, so to
Any
speak.
other complaint?
Anything
I got
that's really hard to classify. But the software can be catered to do it, but to develop a line item for
I got you.
something that we do 3 times a year, it's not worth it. So we group it under nuisance.
I got you.
It could be noise, it could be feces, it could be,
All the
I
fun
was
stuff.
going to recommend that
public
goes
health.
to the police department so they can issue some,
on the
Warnings.
weekends, the police department does handle the noise complaints for us.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one more to follow up,
Yes.
Councilman Farrar. The tanning salon inspections, I always assumed that it was the health department that did those kinds of inspections.
The state actually, it's something where, how many were on there? The 3,
0.
or is it at 0?
0, yeah, on
We-
that one.
It's
That-
the state now.
The state does it. We can do it on their behalf and be reimbursed. I think it's like $50 for an inspection, but the state actually handles those inspections. We would handle the complaints though.
Okay.
So if you have a complaint, let us know.
It was a great idea.
We haven't had a chance to look at this, but in detail, we just got it, but on that first page of that chart, I can see in most cases, these are occurrences, right? Like the food inspection, 699 occurrences, is that
Yes.
right? Okay. You go down, halfway down the page where it says office work, so that's 79 occurrences?
If they have to review plans for a new, a new establishment going in, what we're trying to do with this
Yeah.
software is document, you see an inspector, you say, well, they're out in the field all the time. We're trying to document everything these girls do
Yeah.
for a variety of reasons.
One thing that I realized was that a lot of it goes underreported. And in essence, by purchasing this software, it allows us to literally document, every hour that they're employed, within the township as to, even if we're not at the point now where we're, documenting where they're going out to lunch, but I mean, it's to the point where if they need to cover the office, it needs to be documented. If
And
they're doing
everything's
plan review.
time-stamped.
Yeah,
So we know exactly where they are at all times, too.
Yeah, the lawyers do that all the time.
yeah. I wish we could bill like the
I love
attorneys.
this idea.
Yeah.
But,
So the office work then would be where they're reviewing
it
plans
could
for
be,
something?
it could be plans, it could be that they're doing.
Working for a clinic.
That's 79 occurrences is what that is, not
Right.
79 hours or...
Right.
No, and again, that's probably underreported. We're still trying to get everyone acclimated to the software, so that's the reason why I ask for at least another year to get everybody, because there's line items that we have to develop, others that we have to remove. It's a work in progress. It definitely is a working document. So hopefully in the years to come, it'll be more of a comprehensive product.
What youth camp did we inspect?
That's
The town.
ours.
Oh, you do that once a year?
Well, for the summer.
Yeah, for the summer to open it and on a complaint basis, which we hope never happens. But
Some are considered day camps, some are considered youth camps. Ours is now a youth.
Okay.
But you could see the scope of what these girls do. I mean, and when the seasons change, so does their jobs. They're doing pools, they're not really allowed to go away before Memorial Day because everybody wants their pool
Right.
open. They do the lakes. It changes, so.
And that kind of goes full circle to where I was
I know.
starting at the beginning, that most people, when they see that you have a health inspector, they think that they're just going to food establishment.
it's far-fetched. Absolutely.
I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
New Jersey smoke-free air complaint
Yes.
I'm not asking that question. Have we ever caught anybody smoking in an establishment? Like, do we ever get any complaints from customers saying, I went to, I don't
Oh,
want to...
absolutely.
I am certain we do. I mean, I couldn't specifically pinpoint
It
out,
just-
but it's,
I saw smoke-free air and it...
yeah.
Yeah.
That also, it's also in, public buildings, private buildings as well. We get complaints.
Dental office.
Yeah. Physicians' offices.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else under other expenses budget requests? Moving on, Division 450, Office of Social Services.
50?
Yep, right behind. Salary, wage, budget summary. Could you just give a quick breakdown, just to...
I have 2 community service aides that are drivers. They drive to doctor's appointments, chemotherapy, dialysis. I have a clerk typist and a community service aide that stay in the building and handle, office work and appointments, things like that, and 1 building maintenance worker.
Okay, other expenses budget requests for Office of Social Services. Okay, moving on, other expenses budget request, Child Care Center, Division 451. Okay, moving on, Division 452, Ambulance Services, Salary, Wage, Budget Summary. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
No, I know.
No, I'm Jonathan. Yeah, that's being organized.
Thank you.
Set.
You could see who the fancy one is. Dean did these. You get folders, you get your name on it. I just made copy.
Again, I think it's a great tool. Thank you. It saves a lot of questions, and if I have any questions, I know I could always call, but
Dean, could you just give us a quick breakdown?
Sure. Basically, what you have is very similar to what we put together last year in terms of just some basic data. If you have any questions about it, we'd be happy to answer it. Otherwise, it's really just for informational purposes for you folks to take with you out of here. Barbara is the expert when it comes to our personnel on the budgetary end, so I would let her speak to that and obviously support her and elaborate on any questions. We continue to run the 2 ambulances Monday through Friday with keeping staffing as close to a minimum as we can to keep a lean budget with respect to the town and the budget. Other than that, requests for services are up across the board, whether it be a standby at a fire call or a serious accident with multiple victims. Other than that, I would say that everything is pretty much status quo. We don't have any special requests in our budget. You guys were very gracious last year with helping both us and the volunteer squads out with the capital improvements with the communications equipment and some of the Homeland Security protective masks to have in the ambulance, so we were all very grateful for that.
How's that working out?
Everything went well. All the equipment was received, deployed, and knock on wood, I haven't heard any issues with it.
Communications are good now?
The communications radios in the next couple weeks, we're going to be going through a big upgrade with the county because they're upgrading the county system to the next level. Not that that's not a cost to the town. That's just something we're coordinating with the county basically like when it's our turn. And I think everybody's pretty happy with getting the new radios because it was a much needed piece of equipment. So thank you again for that. And I'll turn the personnel wages stuff to Barbara.
Basically, it's all the same as last year.
Well, we added an additional full-time.
I was,
Minus one
Oh.
part-timer.
Right.
well, I see 2 new hires back here.
Well,
They're replacement, they're
The
not.
replacements.
They're replacement.
One thing with EMS, there's a turnover, and it's not for the bad because most of them are going on to bigger and better things. We lost quite a few this year to go on to other jobs, be it fire. We have one girl that's in medical school. She just left for that, so they're getting great experience here. Part of the reason we put in for another full-timer, though, is to make one of our part-timers that full-timer so that we can keep people on longer.
You're not intending to expand your time and range on the volunteers? This is strictly to maintain your current operation?
Correct.
One of, just to elaborate on that, things with the volunteers, we all work very well together. I mean, it's like anything else. Everything has bumps in the road, but over the years, we've definitely improved, all of us on our end, with communications, interrelations, as we call it, in the day of cell phones, text messages, and, PDF files downloaded to your phone. Things that might have brewed, if you will, and 5 or 6 years ago in the improper manner are handled right away because of email and things being at your fingertips. And Barbara can tell you that I've probably been thrown out of her office multiple times bothering her for full-timers for the other unit that was approved, because one of the things I said was, it's great having the part-timers because they are an asset. It gives us a pool to pull from, keep overtime down, and whatnot, and obviously saves the FTE from the constraints of the budget. But one of my concerns is too, every year the requirements go up, and we require they wear a uniform, they have proper protective gear on when they're in a car on the scene of an accident or something like that. So my concern is how much money do we put out in full-timers, or I'm sorry, in part-timers, to deploy equipment that we're requiring, and after different QA and QI processes, versus a full-timer who gets issued equipment. We potentially are going to have their longevity and their commitment to the town and the department, and we're issuing one person gear versus 3 people the gear, but technically we don't have that full-time FTE. So after reviewing with Barbara and Jasmine and reviewing the data from the last couple of years, they were kind enough to put in this additional full-timer for approval.
Just one quick question. It's really not the budget, but it's just the handout that Barbara just handed us. Greystone Park, 92 events. Doesn't Greystone have their own
No.
EMS?
No, they do
I mean, it's a
not.
hospital.
Greystone is a
State
very
facility.
unique facility because they have the Greystone State Psychiatric Hospital, the new building they built a few years ago. That's the Greystone. And then there are 20 cottages up there. 10 of them the state runs as advancement program, so you can't go back into society. You're not ready, but we're going to help you and start trying to get you some independence. The other 10 are basically leased by the state to the partnership program. Their main facility, I believe, is out of Lyndhurst, New Jersey. They're also the same folks that run the houses that are over on Ruth Davis Drive. So those houses are just like anybody else in those cottages calling 911. And Greystone Hospital themselves, they have an interesting group of physicians working there now, and what gets deemed an emergency for 911 calls, whether it be 3 in the morning or 3 at night, is very unique. We've had, and I say we as in myself and Parsippany Squad as the volunteer ambulance that's responsible for Greystone, we've had meetings with them multiple times, and the doctors, if you will, as they are up there, the medical staff are deeming things emergencies and calling, and despite trying to educate them as politically correctly and politely and professionally as we can that, this is an emergency and this you should call your transport company for. It's unfortunately sometimes like talking to a wall and getting no response because they think we're trying to be there and rude and condescending. We're trying to be proactive so that they get emergency services when they need it on the ambulance service side, but on the same hand, don't strain the town and use their transport service.
I mean, as a layperson with this whole thing, I mean, you're 5 seconds away from the hospital right there, and I'm sure they have their own staff and ambulance care there.
No, they don't.
They don't. They have a the last I know, and I cannot speak that this is factual, but the last time we spoke to them, they had a contract for non-emergency ambulance service with Atlantic Ambulance Corporation. There was different third-party information that was told to us that if the doctor establishes that non-emergency transport ambulance is going to be, let's say, an ETA of an hour, if the doctor doesn't like that answer or the medical staff member, they've been calling the town for the 911 ambulance, whether it be us or the ambulance squad, to respond.
And this 92 is only us. Parsippany Volunteer Ambulance is probably closer to, theirs is about 120, I would say.
Easily.
and add that to the R92. So that takes
A lot
us
of calls.
and that takes us out of Parsippany for quite a while when we have to do a transport.
Besides the logistics of where Greystone is located, just getting into the facility, getting into the patient, getting the patient, and they have to have at least one escort with them out the door is a challenge in and of itself. I mean, you could be parked at Greystone and the call would still take you close to 45 minutes by the time you get in the building, get out of the building. And I mean, I can honestly sit here and tell you, like I said, that both us and the Parsippany squad as a cohesive body have attempted to streamline this process as best we can. And it's a very difficult task that if you would like to talk about it, we should probably just move on from here. And this would be something else we should convene over at another time. So you're.
Have we ever had a problem where our staff has been tied up dealing with something out of there and we haven't had someone available for the residents?
I don't think you've never had anybody available, but I mean, it most certainly could have been. I mean, in the case of during the day, how busy was the town? Was there a volunteer ambulance immediately available, or at night, how busy were the volunteers ready? Did they have a backup ambulance available? I could honestly tell you, I would have no doubt that that situation occurred. It doesn't happen on a consistent basis. On a consistent basis, though, like I said, the logistics of a response there, whether it's the most stable or most critical patient, are just very difficult by the mere fact of where it is and to get in, to get out, escorts, and the whole 9 yards.
For those Greystone calls, what do you bill for that?
The patient.
They all have some kind of coverage?
Usually at Greystone, the patient has at minimum Medicaid.
Oh, okay.
But whenever there's a problem, and I'm walking in the office, Dean goes like this, and he's immediately on the phone with Nan Riffle, Car 65, and they get together and make a trip up there. So they're
It's always so warm and loving when we get there.
these are things that, especially when we have a storm, a hurricane, this is why we highlight some of these areas to see, if anything ever happened during Hurricane Sandy and we had to get up in Greystone and help with that.
Well,
A lot.
I mean, I understand why you have to make the calls to Ruth Davies Drive. I mean, people, that's their resident. I mean, they're Parsippany residents there. But I was thinking more of the property that's right behind the hospital, which you said that are half state-owned, half.
We call them the cottages. Was always
yeah.
they have cottage numbers. They're numbered
Right.
literally 1 through 20. And like I said, 10 of them are just like the houses on Ruth Davis Drive, the same concept with how they operate, and the other 10 are part of the actual state Greystone Hospital program.
Okay, other expenses, budget request. Okay, moving on, first aid organizations, 460.
Just to note, R&R did put in a capital request.
Yes.
It's in the capital section for a truck.
Where in here is capital for fixing the garage at the Baldwin House that we're going to use for the ambulance? I didn't see it. You were talking about, we purchased the Baldwin House, we're talking about using the garage to house the ambulance.
I haven't seen that we're allowed to do that.
You told me
No, I
that you thought we were going to be able to do that.
No, I didn't tell you that.
We think we might be able to do it. We're not quite sure.
Well, when are you going to check?
Well, we've
How you
been
gonna
checking.
check?
I'll get you information from the township attorney.
I thought we were going to. When we had the ceremony over there, I had the impression that we were going to move forward with that.
Right. Well, I will look into it for you.
That would be great.
Absolutely, and I thought we were moving forward with that. Apparently not. Not yet, anyway.
Okay, moving on, 525 capital. Jasmine, what are we going with, D for that?
It's page.
No, I have the page, 1 of 9.
Yeah, page 9 of 9. It's 150,000.
All right, there you go.
9, capital, page
Where would the daycare center roof, that wouldn't fall under that? since we
The
wanted-
daycare center roof is on page 1. That's, we went
Okay, I was
through
just
that
making
when Mike
sure,
Hardy
'cause
was
we
here.
went over that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other handout I have is our April calendar from the senior center, if you want to see, if you haven't been there, what type of activities we have all day long for
Get an answer.
My philosophy is, think of back to your 4 happiest years of your life. It was college years, so we try to center college for the seniors. No beer pong, just ping pong.
Okay, any questions on capital? Next. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open up human services for public.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi. Second by Mr. DiPiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, at this time, I'll open up the public hearing for Department of Human Services only. See no one come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi.
Second.
Second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I'd like to make one comment, if I may, and I think this is important for the residents to know. How spectacular your departments were during the storms. Every single storm that we've had. You were exempt, you were excellent, and I want to thank you on behalf of myself and the town council and the residents of Parsippany, because you guys were around the clock, and it was truly appreciated.
Thank you. I say it all the time, I have the best staff. I really, really do.
You have a very good staff.
Use the microphone for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, up next, Department of Public Works, Greg Snyder, Director, Department of Public Works. Start out, streets and roads, 370.
Good morning, everybody, or good evening, I should say. It's Saturday morning, but-
Careful.
370?
Yes, sir. It's got its own thing, Public Works.
No, I know, I got it. Must start it backwards, probably.
Should say streets and roads. I'm getting there, Lee.
Greg, once you're all set, just give us a quick breakdown of your section, the department.
I'll report this evening on the budget for the Department of Public Works. I will report personally on streets and roads and sanitation recycling. Mr. Leza, who works for me, will do the engineering section right after me. Is that all right, Lee?
Okay, division number 370, streets and roads, salary, wage, budget summary. Any questions? I noticed, I guess you guys cut down one supervisor.
I did not cut down one supervisor. What I've done is split up roads and streets and roads and sanitation recycling. I've taken one of the mechanics and designated him as a specific mechanic for the sanitation recycling division. So in effect, what I have now is a mechanics division that has two separate operating sections to it.
But Greg, is someone taking Jeff Molesky's title? Or you're saying that's being moved over to
It's
sanitation?
being moved over to one handling sanitation recycling, one handling streets and roads.
So,
We talked about a supervisor, one handling one and one handling the other.
okay, so,
with a direct report to me.
All right, but, so instead of having one blue-collar supervisor, supervising mechanic in roads, we're
Right.
going to have one in roads and one in sanitation?
One in sanitation.
Okay, so the summary sheet is incorrect.
Which one are you looking at, the road one?
Mm-hmm. See how it's showing four
Right, we just,
supervisors last year?
excuse me one second. We discussed this, that we were going to discuss at a later time, but right now, it could be a senior mechanic as the title. So in other words, there would still be 3 supervisors in the road division, specifically the road division. We don't have a 4th designated supervisor, but it could be the senior mechanic in that
Okay.
division. Okay.
Okay, moving on, other expenses, budget requests for streets and roads. I got one question for you. Object code 292, drainage basin maintenance. Asked for 39,000 last year, spent about 19. This year asking for 36.
It's about the same amount that we have used for the last 3 or 4 years. Between Sandy and some of the storms, we got kind of sidetracked on some of the work that we would normally be done in the fall. All right. We didn't get to as much drainage as we would have liked to this year. I can tell you this, though, I expect the impact in 2013 to actually be a little greater, so I'm sure you'll see that number at that or maybe even exceed it a little bit.
Mr. Snyder,
Mr. Ferrara?
438. Are you expecting a lot of snow, or are you expecting a lot of increase in salt?
After 2012, which was a very minor year for us as far as the impact of the snow and the ice, just to clarify everybody so they know how this works, it works January of this year to December of this year. The amount of money I have spent in the first 3 months of this year is phenomenal. The exact count of storms that Parsippany experienced was 27 storms, 22 of them salting, 12 of them plowing and salting. I spent a lot of money this year. Not my choice, obviously.
I'm all for keeping the citizens safe. I just was wondering.
Yeah.
And
Going up 100.
I don't know if you'll remember, but last year, when we were doing the budget, we reduced the snow budget by about 100,000 on OE and 100, maybe 75 on salary and wages, and transferred it over to gasoline because we were so concerned that gasoline would end up escalating dramatically.
Just one more question. Just refresh my memory. 482, condominium payments.
Condominium payments are a number that is,
Okay. Okay. Never mind.
end of story? Oh, okay.
371, it gets
I got
canceled
it.
out.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
To follow up on the salt, I noticed, this may have been occurring for years now, but I just noticed it this season. On the state roads, on Route 10, on 46 and 80, I see that the salters are laying down, I don't know what if it is, it's some kind
Called
of,
brine.
yeah, there's some kind of brine where it's lines, and it seems to be treating the street before there's ever a storm, and it seems to settle on it.
Parsippany is the largest, obviously, town in Morris County. I have been the procrastinator on that subject. I built a brine truck out of spare parts. This year I took 2 different storms and worked closely with Randolph and took their brine and tried them on Powder Mill Road, Fox Hill Road, and several of the very hilly streets. I'm sorry, I didn't see a difference. The state has been putting the brine down 2 days beforehand. It should be applied 12 to 18 hours before a storm.
I mean, does it work when you
I
apply it
don't
before?
think it does. 46 this year during the snowstorms was in worse shape than our township roads were. And they were using the brine.
I can't speak for 46. I wasn't out on 46 for any of the storms, but Route 10 was pretty good.
I'm not aware if I believe they're using it in sections of Route 10, but I can tell you, you can see the strip right out here
Yeah,
that
you
you
see
can
on,
see the
on like
lines
each lane,
right
you see
on it.
maybe like eight lines within each lane.
I can honestly tell you, I saw no difference in the operation. I'm not giving up on it. This was a test.
Is there a
yeah.
difference in price between the salt and the
It's
brine?
about half the price, but you have to buy all the equipment, which costs about $75,000. You'd have to buy a brine tank, and start making this stuff yourself. That's what Randolph does. They spent almost $100,000 to get their operation in. I've worked very closely with Randolph on this subject, so you talk to
there is a potential to save a good $150,000 a year on it.
I'm still going to be putting the salt down, though. That doesn't eliminate the salt. The issue with salt is this. It only works down to 22 degrees. Below that, you have a problem with a refreeze. Doesn't work. Supposedly, the brine will take it down to about 12 to 10 degrees. Very rarely do we have that. I mean, we're mostly the 20 to 30 degree storms around here, and the roads don't. And again, I'm not ruling it out, but so far I have not seen it proving anything to me. And you'll find, and I just came back from a convention, you'll find about 50% of the people on the same side of the table as I am, and 50% that say no.
What has Randolph been saying about it since you've been working with them? Randolph.
The director thinks it's wonderful. Tom Spring. The employees don't see a difference.
Okay. This is like I said. I don't know how long they've been.
Catch-22.
I don't know how long how long it's been applied, but I did notice it on Route 10.
You see the white strips.
I see the
that go
white
down.
strips, and
Right.
and I got to tell you, I thought Route 10. I know that's the state does it, but I thought Route 10 was pretty darn good this year with getting it cleared. And
I could tell you 46 was not. It was pretty bad shape, but I'm not
Back
sure.
when I did it, it was done pretty well. I plowed for the state as a volunteer when I worked for the state of New Jersey.
You've done everything.
And I plowed, I had 4 routes that I had to learn. One of them was right here, Route 46 from Town Hall west into Dover. Another one was from Town Hall east to the Willowbrook Mall, with all the jug handles on the way. And one time was Route 10 west into Dover from Route 53, and also Route 53 south into Morristown. So I had those routes. And the thing I found interesting on that was you learned real quick where the manholes or the storm drains stuck up a little bit from the street.
Very quickly, Mike. Very quickly. And
Now,
and you remember them all the time, too.
Oh, you
I
knew
can
exactly
assure
where
you.
they were. The second time you made the run, you knew just where you had
Absolutely.
to slow down and raise the blade a little
Absolutely.
bit. I think I lost a couple of fillings the first time I hit those things. But as I recall, when I was doing that, we never salted days before the occurrence. It was like when it started.
That's exactly what we do.
Salt, so we provide the base,
Right.
and then the snow and the ice doesn't stick.
Don't take this the wrong way. The brine has only been around for a few years, Mike. I think you were plowing probably before the brine was available.
Well, they were spraying some on top of the salt. We're going under the machine that was spraying something else on them.
We do that. We've done that for the last 20 years.
Well, what's
In other words, we're putting calcium chloride on the salt as it comes out of the truck.
right, no, but the brine is
pre-treated,
hitting
right.
the
Yeah, it's
hitting the
pre-treated.
dry roads before the storm ever
I will
hit.
say this about the brine. 46, and the last 3 storms we had was atrocious. It was horrible.
Absolutely.
It became one big slush.
That's exactly right.
It was because the snow was coming down heavy, quick, fast, and that's that wet snow. I don't care what you put down with wet snow, it's accumulating. But 46, and I was out that night, was atrocious. It was so bad that some cars were on the side of the road. I'm not saying that salt's a better product, but on Route 10, I received a lot of phone calls that Route 10 wasn't in great shape. In regards to the snowstorms, because that always seems to be the worst area going up Route 10. But you would know, Councilman, because you live over there. I don't, but if it's going to save money, that's fine. But if it's not going to work when you're saving money, that's not fine.
You have to understand, Mayor and John and so forth, salt, when it's applied during commuter time and stuff like that, it works like a charm because the tires create the heat to melt the snow. It's 12 o'clock at night that we have the biggest concern because there's no traffic out there. making it generate the heat and so forth. So generally during rush hour in mornings and so forth, if we apply the salt as the first flakes start to come down, it works phenomenal. 12 o'clock at night, if it gets down to 15, 20 degrees, that's when we have some problems with the salt not working. I'm not ruling it out. I just have not seen it prove itself to the residents in this town yet.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I'm not even suggesting that I have the answer, because I don't know anything other
I probably
other than
studied a lot more than you,
other
too.
than seeing the white lines on the streets
right,
before.
that's what that is. That's the brine. So. Also, just to finalize this quick, the state also this year went to the same procedure that Parsippany uses, and that on the main roads they apply a layer of salt before the storm actually starts. So they were dropping salt actually early this year. So that being said, it was a rough 3 or 4 months to begin. And tonight it'll still be 28 degrees outside. So
Okay, anything else under other expenses budget requests? Okay, 371, condominium payments.
are you looking for?
Okay,
What is,
390.
just as a question, what does this, these are the payments for street, cleaning the street?
It's streets and streetlights.
Not garbage.
Garbage.
Garbage, too.
Unless we provide the pickup. This is on, it's the Condo Services Act, also known as the Kelly Bill, that was passed
just-
by 15, 20
okay.
years ago.
I was just curious to know if we could break out of this to say how many of the condos is this, and how does this amount to cost per unit per year for garbage?
It varies. When we can probably, the biggest variable is obviously the snow removal. Because it depends
Yeah,
on
that-
what
yeah.
kind of year we've had. And it's probably the largest
But don't you have
part
this
of the
broken down
reimbursement.
by snow removal, garbage, and that kind of thing?
We, at the end of the year, the condo associations will submit their bills. And so if it was a warm year, their snow removal
But
request
the
is going
garbage
to
has
be
got to
much,
be fixed, right?
relatively, yes.
Now, how do you
I'm concentrating on the garbage removal now for the condominiums, how much we give them. That's got to be a fixed number per unit.
Yes. No, it's their cost or our cost, whichever is lower.
now with snow removal? How do you audit their bills, or do you pay what's normal and customary, or do you
They-
just pay whatever they submit?
They show us, they give us receipts.
Yeah. It's based on the linear feet in each property area. So depending on how much it costs the town to do and take care of an incident, that's just divided by the amount of linear feet, and that's how we come up with the cost.
And it's because our cost tends to be lower
Right.
than what they're billed by
Well,
the
that's
contractors.
I mean, how many condo associations do we have in town?
10, 15?
Yeah, I think so. I just am starting to get the bills in from 2012. So I'm looking at them now. I think there's about 12.
I would say 12 to 14, somewhere
Yeah.
in that range.
You're providing garbage service to how many?
The electricity is not mine, obviously. Garbage, in some of them, we do, and snow plowing of the streets, and salting, obviously, and so forth and so on. And sometimes if we have to help them out by fixing a storm drain or something like that. As a matter of fact, I believe there was a bridge if I'm not mistaken,
Brookside?
a bridge that we had to repair, I think, off of, and that we were responsible for fixing that bridge too. So.
Okay, division number 390, sanitation and recycling. Salary, wage, budget summary. Okay, no questions. Other expenses, budget requests.
I have a question under 305, equipment rentals. I know it's about the same number as last year, but we only spent 1,700.
What we anticipated in 2012 and what transpired are two different things. We were anticipating that we were going to start garbage collection for the apartments. And if that decision was made, we would have had to move forward quite rapidly. That number in for 2012 is in case we had to rent.
Yeah, I recall that, yeah.
So now we're on hold again. I have not.
So this is just in case
it's a
we need to
carryover.
rent again.
Just a carryover.
Okay.
Do we need a rent or no?
Yes, because even though in last year's capital budget, we included a front loader, we haven't ordered it yet. And it takes 6 months, 6 to 9 months?
6 months
I
at
remember
least.
you saying that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we would have to rent initially.
Okay.
Okay, just a quick question, 361, the leaf bags, the $50,000 in the mayor's budget, that money we get back off the sale?
I'm not sure what direction we'll go. It'll obviously see, I believe, Mayor, we'll see how we go through the year, if we're okay, and we'll determine what to do.
Well, are you charging for leaf bags this year or
No,
not?
I didn't know.
Yeah, we're going to charge, but
You're going to charge?
we won't, 50,000 is a little over a year's worth of leaf bags, right?
Exactly right, about 30, 40.
So, I think we typically make about $35,000.
Somewhere between
leaf
30.
bags?
Well, yeah, we move between $35,000 and $40,000 worth of bags every year.
Yeah.
And we can't keep them too long because they start to,
They start rotting, yes,
right.
like they're supposed to do.
We were talking about getting some transportable emergency generators that you can move around where they're needed. What department would that come under?
Under public buildings.
Public buildings?
Yeah, we did that when Mike Hardy was here.
Okay, I didn't remember. And who would be responsible for getting the generators to where they're supposed to go? What department?
Probably public buildings, Joe Janarone.
General, okay.
Depending on the size, I would probably help if I had to with my
Yeah.
equipment. It's okay.
Good.
Mr. Farr?
Mr. Snyder,
Mr. Ferraro?
I was checking the budget from last year. We bought some trackers for some trucks in your department. What is going on with that?
I'm sorry, I missed the
The
first part.
trackers for
That's
the trucks?
capital, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay. I'll wait.
Okay.
I just had one question. Under 570, the disposal of recyclable materials, that's up a lot this year.
It's sore subject with me. We went to bid this year. We bid on that every 2 years. 2 years ago, I started the mulching procedure in this town. We bought a machine, and it's been a phenomenal savings for us. I went back to bid again in 2012 for the beginning of 2013. There's just so many outfits out there that bid on this yard waste removal. And unfortunately, I must tell you, and I don't know this by fact, but
Greg, don't say anything.
yeah, I'm not saying it. I'm just saying they double bidded me this year. So in other words, I had to double the price. I mean, they came in with bids that were twice as much as they were in 2011 when I did it. So, I mean, that's just what it is. Aggravates me, but I'm stuck.
So the lowest bids we got were double of what?
Double what it was.
2 years ago. Okay.
And the second low bid was fairly close, wasn't it?
They were identical.
They were
They were identical?
I rest my case. I'm
I-
sorry, you don't want to talk about it, but that, it's just very strange what transpired, but
Greg,
that's,
Not that we don't want to talk about it, but that's
Yeah, he just started.
it's-
no,
subject.
you can't. We
Yeah.
can't-
I'm not
we
talking,
can't
I'm not
Okay,
talking.
that's fine.
End of story, end of story.
Okay, capital.
Wait,
Okay,
Council
good.
President, I just have
Mr.
one
Nelson?
quick question. 425, the town planners, are townhomes going to get them this year? Because last year,
45's printing and mailing.
What's your zip code?
Morris Plains.
Yeah, that's the problem. The post office is killing me.
Oh, come on.
I have been to the post offices, and
I mean, I have my problems with the Morris Plains post office also, but they can't be
Town planners.
they can't be throwing away all these town planners.
Well, I get the town planner, and I have a Denville mailing address.
I have Morris Plains mailing address, I get it.
I don't. Nobody in Powder Mill got it this year.
Maybe, is it Powder Mill, or is it the apartments, or the
No,
condos?
the townhomes.
Townhomes.
The
She's
townhomes
absolutely
did not
correct.
get them this year.
Townhomes didn't get them.
And I don't think Glenmont Townhomes got them either.
It's so sporadic. One section doesn't get them one year. I mean, they all get delivered exact. One year, I personally delivered them to the mailbox, to the post office.
You know what I'm wondering? Because they have a different mailbox. Wonder if there's something with the post office, you know, because.
No, but there's all these different. It's not like one mailman because there's like 3 mailmen who do our neighborhood. So it's not like one guy's not delivering them.
You know, we send it out as bulk mail, and sometimes
Well, my follow-up question. I assume that you contract out with. For a
it's all
company to-
contracted, right? The printer and everything delivers.
Could you make sure that they're getting the right, that they're routing it to?
I have done it for years, and believe me when I tell you this, I have been to the post office, talked to the postmasters, and said, "This is Parsippany, correct?" He looks at it and he says, "Yeah, we'll deliver it to Parsippany." It's the last I hear of it.
Because believe it or not,
No, I believe.
the number
believe
one
you.
since I was elected in November, the number one complaint I've gotten from people
calendars.
is the calendars.
Spend a day in my office, you'll see. I mean, it's
How about
just
Parsippany
unbelievable.
Life?
Just unbelievable.
Same thing.
You can blame me. That's all right. Next year, I just deliver them myself.
All right,
was
well,
the townhomes.
we're paying $1,000 more this year. I just want to make sure that we get them.
What's your address? I'll personally drop it.
Oh, you know what? It's not me. It's all my neighbors.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
It's, again, a subject that we have done everything to get them delivered, and I have no idea what transpired. Maybe it's that guy who buries him in his backyard, that postman last week they were talking about.
Okay, Capital.
I guess I'll ask you the question now.
Go right ahead.
The trackers that we bought last year, are we ever gonna put them in anywhere, or
The tractors that,
the tracker in the trucks, whatever?
oh,
I
the
might be using-
GPS system?
Yes.
The GPS system. We're moving forward. There's been some issues with, the cost and so forth and so on. For 2013, I will have a success story to talk about with those GPS.
I think you, Jasmine, should consider doing that with the police vehicles also. I had the privilege of going in Comcast or whatever it's called in Tom's River, and the chief gave an overview. You could actually tell
I
where
know.
every car is.
I've been to
Anytime.
the county comp center and communications center, and most of the vehicles that they have the GPS systems, and
I think it's a great tool, Mayor. We
it
should
is.
think about it.
Well, we have thought about it. We've met in the past with several individuals, but the prices were just too high at the
Oh,
time.
we could start somewhere.
Yep, definitely.
We could start, a dozen at a time or something. You got my vote. Thank you. The sun
welcome.
is hitting me. Where's
Okay, Division number 391.
Roy? Can you close
Tipping
that
fees.
window?
I thought we were just
Thank
going to
you.
do capital.
Oh, right. Well, I'll go back to Capital. No one asked anything else. Mr. DiPiero?
Yeah, that one.
It starts on page 5 of 9.
Right.
Thank you. That's good, Roy. Oh, okay.
May I ask just one quick question
Where are we?
on capital?
5 of 9 on Capital.
Okay.
Mr. Nelson?
It's an obvious question. I'm the new kid on the block. I see you're buying an international dump truck. Page 5 of 9, right? That's in the right place, right?
Well, this is sanitation.
That's
Dump
2012
would be under the
anyway.
road division.
I'm sorry.
That's where we are, some road.
They're under the
That's-
road division.
That's
Yeah.
2012, not 13 budget.
Oh, never mind.
You're all right. No, you're all right.
Yeah, why don't you, Greg, if you
Well,
would, just
actually,
go down
you know what? It's the same question. I see last year we purchased an international. This year we're purchasing a Kenworth. Do you have a certain policy where you would want to keep like just one company?
I would love to say yes, to keep one manufacturer so I can keep all my inventory exactly the same.
Yes.
But again, price is the key thing here. I use, whenever possible, the county contract. And Kenworth this year had the county contract which was $10,000 to $12,000 less on their cabs than the international line.
So would we save a significant amount of money in the future if we stayed with international or one or the other?
If I'm saving 12 or 25,000 when you put two trucks together on the Kenworth, that's a lot of money for me. And again, just so you know what I'm doing, I'm not buying dump trucks. I'm buying just cabs and chassis, and I'm transferring the dumps off the other trucks that I have and putting them on those to save, because that dump truck in the Kenworth, I believe, was $88,000 for the cab. It's up this year to about 110. With a dump body on it, was like $200,000.
Yeah, it was 120. It was 240 with the.
Yeah.
That's for two.
So there's a big savings by us just transferring the material over to the cab and chassis.
No, it was 120 each.
Yeah, but it's 40,000
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah, there's two in there.
Right.
Two.
Yeah.
Item D, the Ford pickup, what's that for?
I'm sorry.
We're on page 5 of 9, item D.
One
Right.
Ford pickup.
I have not, Mike, for the last 3 or 4 years replaced any pickups. This is a 99 that has a considerable amount of miles on it, and it just requires an awful lot of engine work to keep it on the road right now. It's 14 years old. It's time to replace it.
Is that used for, with a plow on it too?
Yes, it is.
Okay, division number 391, tipping fees.
You do want to stay on capital? Or are you finished with sanitation capital?
We're finished with that.
Oh,
No one else has
okay.
questions. Any questions on tipping fees?
Hold on.
Okay.
Just hold on a second.
I'm just curious what that breaks down to per ton or however they charge us.
How much is it a ton now, Greg? At the
95, 92,
$95 per ton?
92 cents.
Okay, thank you.
But you are expecting a reduction in the tipping fees.
It's a union contract. I believe it's been settled down. There may be $1 or $2 that's coming off the price. It only affects the tipping fees,
Yeah.
minuscule.
Yeah.
So
for like what household garbage, right?
that's household garbage, right?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to open up the public hearing for Department of Public Works.
Okay,
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi,
second.
second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Well, you have are you coming up, Lee?
Yes,
Lee's coming up with a question.
I'll try and open it first.
We're opening it.
Oh, okay.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes.
The occasion with the tie, Roy.
Lee, you coming up, Lee?
The occasion with the tie.
You're good.
Yeah. Oh, that lost 8-6? Oh, wow.
Sure you use the mic.
Hear you, Lee.
That's because it's off. Lee Kyle, 342 Lakeshore Drive, Lake Hiawatha. Question, Mr. Snyder. Has any of the brine runoff been effective in the streams, in the waterways? And to what extent?
In Parsippany, I'm not aware of it. It's, to be very honest with you, Lee, I believe it takes quite a few years to start to see the results of the brine on the effect and the environmental issues with streams. I have not read anything, and I'm up on all of the environmental books. I've not read anything where it's truly affecting anything. And so to answer your question, I do not have an answer to that.
All I know is that I've been teaching for years, practicing it for years, that the brine and the salt runoffs have been affecting the streams and the runoffs. around the state, not only here but all across the country. If you'll find green traces in any of the waterways after water's frozen over, those green stripes in there are the runoffs from the roadways. And they are very prevalent to any outflow or any stream that is infected by storm drains or waterways that directly affect and run off into streams and lakes. And those trails are very prevalent in a lot of lakes. That's why they're not freezing over as well as they have in the past, because there's a lot of brine and a lot of salt.
Lee, do you have any, can you refer us to any document that would scientific journal or magazine that could verify that?
I probably could if I went to the library and did some research there, but as far as what I used to teach in the past as part of being rescue recovery and doing the training sessions in the EMS sectors around the state, we all observed one thing, and that was that the brine runoff does affect the waterways. They don't freeze over like they used to when we had cold snaps, and leaves a lot of weak spots in ice. And
Yeah,
we just
I hear what
we just
you're
saw
saying.
this recently up in Bud Lake where the
I'm not disputing what you're saying. I just would like to see that in writing someplace where we could say we should not be using it.
I will
And that would be our new
I will see if
policy.
I can find some literature for you.
Just so I understand you right, this was purely on the brine or brine and salt?
It's more likely the combination of it over the years, but I'm looking at the brine now as something that's being spread out. It's not really tested, even though they've been trying to work on something, getting it on the roadways so that they can pre-treat the roads. But I'm still concerned with the runoff. What is it doing? How is it affecting our streams, and how is it affecting our waterways and our aquifers?
Excuse
I
me.
am concerned about it.
You know what, Lee? As a matter of fact, in council, I'm going to be attending the Whippany Watershed Committee on Wednesday. They have their meeting, and I will certainly ask this question and return an answer to you as a result of asking the Watershed Committee.
Paul, I think this is it's an important topic. What Lee brought up, you have that aspect of it, and then you have the potential, the cost differences. If there are any kind of studies about, what the trends are in the future for this. I mean, I'm not one to say, tell Mr. Snyder which way to go. I mean, he's the expert on it. But, if you can come back with something that supports one or the other, or what the trends are for the future.
Just to interject one final thought. Salt, I know, I've read over articles that it's doing more harm than good to the rivers and the streams. But there's no alternative. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I can't put sand on roads, I can't put grit on roads because that just blocks up the storm drainage system. So the only thing that dissolves and works on the roads is the salt, and they have not come up with any other choices. And believe me, there's a way you can figure out what to do in this wintertime to get the ice off the road. You're a rich person, believe me, so. But that's the only issue that, or the only item that I have to use. So.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, how are you? Long time no see.
It's on, Lee? Is it on, Lee? Roy Mesmer, 10 Drumlin Drive. I'll sign in. Just have a few points here, questions. You call it the one stream we went with. Now, was that in 2011 or 12 we went with the one stream? At curbside for the residents.
You mean single stream?
Single stream.
Single stream. We started that last year.
Oh, so we're only in our second year. I couldn't
This is the
remember if
second
it was, okay. Just want to say that Greg and Greg Pavlik did an excellent job. Our neighborhood was the first neighborhood we came and did a seminar. It was fantastic. I grew up with my parents' house having putting our kitchen debris in. And when the other Greg said how much weight it was, for about a week I weighed it, and I set up a compost in my yard. And I realize a lot of people can't do that, but I know I don't have it, but Home Depot has one of these tanks, and then you can throw the lime in. But about this one stream, we're getting killed on cardboard. Now, I did not look at Greg's budget. What do we offer with card? That's the problem with it. When Maggie and I, or we run and walk in the morning on Mondays, I pull out as much as I can, and I whip it onto people's driveway. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? Or arrested? The people, I mean, we're down,
Depends on how you
we're
treat
down. I didn't get the number from Greg, but just my checking, I got to believe we're down 50%. And cardboard, I always thought aluminum was the biggest recyclable dollar. It's cardboard. It all goes back to China. What can we do about that, Greg?
Well, it's
Well,
been-
I'm sorry, my question is, what are we down with the budget, money-wise?
Well, Greg and I discussed the cardboard, and then, because I don't know what it is per ton now on cardboard. What is it now?
125.
Yeah, it's 125. And we were talking about in our budget meeting to separate the corrugated, the bigger types of cardboard, and not put it in a single stream. You could put like a envelope cardboard box and something like that.
Right, chipboard.
Yeah, stuff like that. But we discussed going back to having cardboard picked up on Wednesdays.
No, we do. That's the problem there.
And then well, we have to then.
But nobody does it.
Right.
There were
have to
very
get
few
it back
people.
to doing it that way, because you're right. $125 a ton comes back to us.
Well, just a few months ago, or a year ago, it was 165.
Yeah, it's gone down a little bit.
Right. I'm not being facetious, but I don't have the town planner. Do we?
Oh, it's on there.
No, I don't. I don't.
Wait,
I
hold
didn't
it
get
a
the.
second.
I didn't
I'll
get the
drop-
town planner.
Drop
delivered.
one off at your house.
Are we having?
okay?
Are we having
John,
the cardboard
it's-
picked up separately
Yeah,
this year again?
but people don't do it. They put it in on Mondays. In my neighborhood, Glacier
But
and Sedgefield.
I will say another one. The second biggest complaint I've gotten from the residents is that there's no consistency on having the cardboard picked up on Wednesdays.
Well, it is in our neighborhood.
It's not every Wednesday.
No,
It's every other Wednesday.
Every other
Sometimes
Wednesday.
it's every other Wednesday.
Well,
Sometimes
and
it's every
when
3
you hit that,
Wednesdays or
in my
4.
neighborhood, we're the district, where the Monday, Greg knows. So all the Monday holidays, we don't get
No, but
garbage.
because
picked
it's only
up.
being cardboard's only being picked up twice a month. If you miss it one time, that's a lot to ask people to keep it for a month.
Yeah.
You know, it's a catch-22 situation. I try to we preach it when we go around to seminars. I have everybody try to remember to put the cardboard out, the big, large amounts. If you're moving or you got a whole bunch of packages, put it out on Wednesday. People put it out on Friday in their recycling pickup. I can't leave it there for the weekend, so if it's piled there, I'm going to take it on Friday, which unfortunately, gets put into the single stream and not reported separately.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Brian.
I know, Paula, you're going, you said I went to one meeting that Vespiani and Mary O'Keefe run. Excellent. Absolutely. Trout Unlimited is there. I'm a member of it. It's excellent, excellent. And I was at that one meeting. They brought up that they had budgeted, or we got a grant for a filter system over by the police station.
Yep.
How's that work? Has there been testing on the water coming out of that filter system into
Actually,
Troy Brook?
We don't test it right. I was going to set up, but
Well, I'm saying, no, Mayor,
No,
have you
it's
gotten
not.
results? The water quality going into Troy Brook? I've never really seen the system. I tried to find it. I'm not sure which culvert it's coming out of. Do you know, Greg?
They're tree boxes. is
Yeah,
that-
they're
They're a tree box
Filtero boxes, the Filtero.
called the Filtera system.
Right.
But it's like a
And-
filter in your
Right,
oil
and it-
in your car. You have to change it every 2 weeks or a month or
It's naturally
Natural
removes the
product.
pollutants.
right.
And it's on a maintenance schedule. It does require cleaning. So it is on Parks and Forestry annual maintenance schedule.
I want to talk.
They
to
have
Lee-
been trained and taken care of the system.
But I mean, that night I was at the meeting, I wanted to hear about they were just putting it in about a month or two, the water quality. After the filter's been there for a week or 2 weeks, somebody takes a little water, takes it to a lab. Because I don't know what that filtration system costs. They said it that night, I forgot. But I'll tell you all of you something, and it's hit home with Paul, because Paul's a member of Glacier Hills Pool and Parklands. Not this January, not last January, because it was a mild winter, so what January would that be? 2011? The 2 or 3 week period, if you all remember all the salt we had to put down, what we lost at the Glacier Hills Pond, it's about a 3-acre pond. We went down there in the springtime. I cried. I literally cried. The fish and the bullfrogs were mummified from all the salt. So what I'm asking, and I'm asking first, the next filtration system, if we could put in that big culvert off of Pond View. We only have one culvert coming in.
Over where now?
Pond View, off
Oh,
of
okay,
Pond
I
View.
know Pond View.
I don't, Paula, could you ask on tomorrow? I can't get there tomorrow night. Or
Wednesday night,
Wednesday
yes.
night. I can't get there. The brine, I'll tell you one little thing. I ran into somebody outside of this town who was using the brine. He said that the guys, when they're in the yard, and if it should spill, it melts their plastic boots.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty strong stuff.
Yep. So, thank you.
Okay.
I was gonna put acid down.
Seeing no one come forward, I'll entertain.
Just one more question, if I may. Re-educating the public for cardboard, is there any way we can reinforce a re-education for the cardboard?
We could put a social media out, blast out, and
I mean,
then,
some people have to be reminded, they forget.
right.
Yeah, it's two things. I think if people are aware of it, and as long as we're consistent on picking it up every second Wednesday, I think people will be more.
The newsletter's gonna be going out soon, so maybe we'll throw that in the newsletter.
Section of them.
All right?
Is it possible, I know the Mondays, a lot of holidays on Mondays, and if that happens to be the week of the cardboard, I know in our area, that's a complaint that a lot of people have given to me, is that you lose your cardboard pickup and now you wind up going like a full month.
Yeah.
Is there any way to offset that day?
I'm not going to promise you anything, but I've had a ton of meetings on this subject.
Yep.
And it's happened on Friday of this week where I'm going to somehow work it out so nobody
Okay.
loses.
I'm going to put you on the spot. If we miss a Wednesday pickup, how much do you think the town is losing on cardboard on that one day?
You're putting me on the spot there. It would be hard for me.
But it's probably a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with the time of the year
Yeah,
also.
that's true.
A lot
Yeah.
of it has to do with the time of the year. The holiday seasons, anytime there's a holiday, I lose a lot if it's something gets messed up. But the summertime, I don't lose very much at all because there's not much out there. And so it really is, based a lot on what time of the year. Could I give you an honest, I don't even want to guess. If it fills up a truck holds 10 tons, $125 a ton. If it fills up one truck, maybe $1,000, $1,500. But it is a value. It's by no question. It's the most valuable commodity right now, except for iron and metal. Those are very expensive. But for some reason, cardboard has just gone off the scale. So. Used to be aluminum, as Roy was saying, not anymore.
Okay. Casey Parikh, 50 Meadow Bluff Road. Just going back to the calendars again. I like that subject.
Glad you do.
Yeah.
Did you get
I say
yours?
what I have to say. But
Did you get your calendar?
Yeah, I have a different problem with the calendar. I received Maurice Plains calendar first, and I thought it's a
Did it say
Parsippany
Jonathan
calendar,
Nelson on it?
right? So I think that may be the reason. The reason I'm saying that may be the reason. Probably we are all using the same company for the calendar, and I received the Maurice Plains calendar sometime towards end of December, right? And I thought, I didn't even look at it. I didn't realize that it's a Maurice Plains calendar.
So then the
And
Morris Plains folks are getting a Parsippany calendar. That might
Yeah,
be what's
but
happening.
No, but I did receive ours sometime towards end of January or February. So I received two calendars, but that's something to look into. Okay, another thing for you. Right, and
No, it's town planner. I don't think it's the post office. I think it's town planner.
No, it's not town planner.
Not the town planner.
No. But another thing I'll suggest is, the calendar is online. I mean, I printed, actually, when I didn't receive it first, I received it late, I just went online and I printed it. So I think, people should know, especially, it's something people can print.
Absolutely.
Only suggestion I will have is, I wish it has same information as a town planner. It just has a calendar, but not the information, other information that what you can recycle or what you cannot. So I think if it's easy to print from online, I'm not going to even look forward to receiving in the mail. I mean, I can get it online. So that's the only comment I'll have. And question for you: when did we change the pickup to 6 in the morning? Somehow the time changed, and I started missing.
I will give you the same speech that I give every resident on the phone.
The night before.
Okay.
It's not a schedule. Some trucks work. We ask you to have it out the night before or by 6 in the morning. The trucks pull out of the yard at 10 after 6.
Right.
So they, again, holidays especially, They could be done in an hour and a half on garbage. Last week, for instance. Second pickup of the week, most people don't even put their garbage out for the second pickup because it's 2 days after the first pickup.
Right, no, I believe online, it said the 6:30. By 6:30, night before or by 6:30 in the morning, you should have your garbage. I read it somewhere online.
That must be the Morris Plains.
Probably true. Yeah, that's true. So that's the answer I get most of the time anyway. So, but it was the problem is if you live on the hill like I live on Meadow Bluff Road, it's hard to put the garbage outside at night. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and put the garbage because of the. Otherwise, I'll find my garbage can sometime on Grannis Avenue. It just rolls down the hill. And that's why we have to wait until we can't just put. I see that early morning. You see all the garbage is all over the place. That's the reason. It just changed. It just changed. So I think the timing changed, and I never had a problem. But somehow, this year, it started very early.
All right.
Yes.
Give me your address. Let me check this.
Yeah.
What's your
It's 50. It's right here. And it's Morris Plains, by the way.
I know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no one come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close the public.
Please hurry.
Motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, at this time, we'll just be taking a short recess, about 5 minutes.
Mr. Snyder, I just wanted to say,
Is this off the record?
oh, well, if I don't use the microphone, Lee will get upset, but I just wanted to say thank you for the work that you've done during Sandy and the cleanup in North Beverwick. Has anybody driven down North Beverwick lately?
It's been improving steadily.
Yes. Mr. Nelson, any comments?
No. I'll second that.
Well, I was going to, in case you guys didn't realize it, Greg was recognized at the Rotary DSA award ceremony, and
Likewise with you.
Yes, we were there.
congratulations.
Yes. Okay.
Just gonna take a short recess.
Okay.
Make a
Motion for that? Yes.
I sent you.
We're on.
Yeah.
We're on.
Make a motion to go back in session?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. Next up, Engineering Division, Justin Leza, Municipal Engineer. 410. Justin, can you just give us a quick background of your division?
I'm in charge of.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm in charge of engineering, which really covers roadways, drainage, infrastructure. We do municipal grants for the DOT, paving of the roads, like I said, drainage and compliance with stormwater regulations. We also do inspections of private construction projects, if it's a residential, commercial, subdivision, site plan, that sort of thing. We do inspections to ensure compliance with our ordinances.
Okay, salary, wage, budget summary. Okay, no questions. Other expenses, budget requests.
1 minute.
Under 229, city requested 5,000, but getting 30. The vehicle equipment,
There should be two. There's 5,000 for, that's actually for equipment, safety lights, radios, that sort of thing.
okay.
And then there's 25,000 for the replacement of the Taurus.
What happened was that the $25,000 replacement was originally in the capital budget, but it's not a capital item, so we moved it over to the operating.
Okay, any other questions, other expenses budget requests? Capital 525.
What page?
I'm guessing we're starting at 7 of 9 or 6 of 9? 7 of 9. It's capital.
I just, off of this budget thing, Reynolds Avenue, where we have the patches, fixing patches. And I know it's a drainage issue about 8, 9, 10 years ago when we tried to do it. Is that on pace to have anything done on that road?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we had to break it into 2 sections. We didn't have to, it was a choice to do it. The problem with Reynolds, there are...
The DEP did not approve the drainage years and years ago, I know that.
No, and that's part of the issue. We need DEP permits for stormwater and for wetlands. Instead of holding up the entire project year after year until we get these, we decided to break it into 2 phases. The first phase, actually Thursday, we're taking bids for the first phase, which will be from South Beverwick to the crest in the road, which is a little bit past Tara Drive, I believe it is. Just to get something going while we're in the process of getting the other permits. And then we're going to have a second phase, which will take it the rest of the way, do the drainage and curbing improvements. But we are working on the design and trying to meet the DEP requirements for that end. But we just didn't want to hold up the whole
So we're going to see some activity this year?
On the first phase, without a doubt. Hopefully, if the permits come in time, we may see something on the rest of it, which is unfortunately the worst section of it. But most likely, we're probably not going to be seeing anything until next spring. I just don't think we're going to be able to get it fully permitted and bid and have something started before the winter. I'm not optimistic about that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Council President, it's just a little confusing. I think the letters are off a little bit.
Okay.
The Rockaway River dredging this year.
It's
either I or J, one of the two. They just
it's really not a dredging. It's more of a stream cleaning. Dredging means that you're going to go in there and remove silt and sediment out of the bottom of the channel. That's not what this is for at this point. Really, we're just looking to go in there and to clean it, de-snag branches, trees that have fallen, that are obstructions over the top of the waterway. Again, this is DEP.
But isn't it something that Parks and Forestry would do then? If
We are working, we're going to work with Parks and Forestry and with the Mosquito Commission. It's a huge process. I had my guys walk every year, every winter, they walk all the streams. We document where the issues and blockages are. It's just an enormous amount of material that's in the waterways at this point. So it's going to be a combined effort. It's not going to be a desilting at this point. It's really just going to be a de-snagging. Like I said, branches and debris and accumulation of stuff that's blocking flow. That's what we're going to tackle first. We can do a lot of that under what they call either a permit by rule or a general permit with DEP, which is a quick turnaround permit. Desilting is at least 90 days to get a permit, usually a lot more because they want a lot of documentation as far as where you're taking it, where's it going, is it tested, is it contaminated, and they really want to make sure you're not going down deeper than you should. And just a point on desilting, what you're doing is taking a layer of accumulated silt and debris out of the bottom of the channel. If we just do it in our section of the Rockaway, it's a short-term fix. So all you're doing is creating a little belly where more sediment's going to sit there and collect, because you have to really do it over the entire reach of the river. It can't just be sections. It has to really be a joint effort. And I know there's been talk with Montville and other neighboring towns, not just for the Rockaway, but for the Passaic. They're trying to get some kind of a joint permit and effort to do that, and we'll see where that goes.
Okay. Well, the follow-up. Last year, we budgeted $150,000 for it. What do we get for our money out of that?
Unfortunately, we had been planning on doing a lot of that in the summer and the fall of last year, and then the storm hit, and we weren't able to get to it. So, again, this is capital. We're going to be combining all of this money to tackle. It's not just the Rockaway, also. It's all the tributaries that we're going to be looking at to help clean out.
Okay. But the disnagging is going to get done this year.
Oh, yeah, it will be done.
Is that Brooks too, or just the Rockaway?
No, it's all brooks. The Troy Brook and any tributaries to them that carry some kind of substantial amount of water.
I think that's good for the environment.
But I would assume Lower Lake Hiawatha is going to take precedence over it.
Well,
Because like Watnong Brook over in by Old Dover Road, there's no threat of flooding over that area.
No, but there are a couple areas, I know on the Troy Brook, there are areas where there's just 3 or 4 trees that are down right across the brook in succession. So we may have to do a little pocket work other places, but the main emphasis is really the Rockaway.
You'll focus on the areas that potentially flooding could occur first.
That's right.
Make sure those get done first.
I think I'm not putting words in your mouth. I think what happens is when a yard or somebody's house floods, not necessarily in the house, it picks up whatever the people have by the house and takes it into the brook, and then the brooks become. I had experience with that.
There's a lot of debris that had floated
Yeah,
down
right.
into the channels.
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea to look everywhere. I know what they're saying, my council colleagues, but I think I'm familiar with it, where if a yard gets flooded, it takes everything back, and then it becomes stuck in the brook, so.
Anything else under capital? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open up engineering to the public.
Motion?
Motion by Mr. Karifi.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, at this time, I'll open up engineering division to the public. Yeah.
Roy Messmer, 10 Drumlin Drive. Here's a problem we have. Justin, do you know I've been on your back on this? Your predecessor, Mike, had supposedly filed a report. December 2005, my wife went off the road, Moraine Road, going up the hill towards the firehouse. Went off, came down, hit a tree. Thank God she hit it dead center, or she would have flipped over. I'd love to have one of you see this. 7+ years, no guide rail has been put up. Can't call them guardrails, guide rail. What I had asked Justin's predecessor, you know what I'm talking about, was that the same type of guide rail like we have at Mountain Way Park. Very rustic, blends into the environment. Why is it 7+ years, Justin? I'm shocked that nobody else has driven off that road in a snowy condition.
We did look into it. We met with the police. There isn't accident data that. I'm sorry?
Use the mic.
There isn't substantial accident data to warrant it. If you look at the DOT guidelines for guide rail, especially on a low-speed 25-mile-an-hour road, there's no warrant for it because of where the obstructions are.
Let me explain to the council, though, Justin. Look, it's a hackneyed expression, but it was a perfect storm. Little bit of snow, early December. There's a lot right there. That rental house that's on Moraine, that's always rented out. People dump their leaves there. So the leaves came off. It was like a ski ramp. Went off, went up, went down. It's horrible. Now, we're coming up, I mean, Glacier Hill's been there for about 75 years. We just happen to have our 50th year anniversary this summer, so I don't know when the first house was built exactly. I mean, I can't believe nobody else has gone off the road like that. And you're just talking about a 20, 25-foot section. Mayor, I'd love to have you come out and look at this. The marking in the tree is still there. She hit it with such force, and it was a big Mercedes. The engine went through the firewall.
Which end of Marine?
You got up the hill, going towards the firehouse. Past Strumbling Drive, you start going up that hill. Another one. This is a problem, and I know Mike, again, your predecessor, gave a report to the Board of Ed or the council or the mayor. The road at Parsippany Hills High School, right before Mayor Letz's house, it's like ski moguls there. And every year, it's horrible. And he had proved it, Mike had proved it, that it's school property, not the town property. You know the cut through there off of Glen Cove. And,
right over there.
if you go through it, I haven't been by way, because I don't like going through the high school. I think it's disrespectful. But I did go through it. It was late at night. And I said, oh, my God, it's horrible. So if you guys, I know you're on the other side of town, but you're not, you should be all
I'll come over. I'll come over to you.
We'll look at both things, okay?
We'll make it an appointment. You make
Okay.
it with me in my office.
Promise
and we'll-
me?
Okay. I will promise you right now, right in public. I know. Want to know.
See no one come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close.
So
Engineer.
moved.
Motion by Mr. Farrar,
Second.
second by Mr. Creepy. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Stanton?
Yes. Next up, water utility, number 600.
Justin, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Judge.
Jeff.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thanks very much. Paul Cosarelli, Director of Municipal Utilities. Kevin Ryan, Superintendent of Water Utilities. Number 600.
Still under public works?
Under water utility.
Oh, water. Yeah. Thanks.
How are you?
Good evening.
Paula going down, or is she staying up?
Mr. Ryan, if you could just
I'm
give us
here.
like a quick breakdown of your division.
I'm the licensed operator, water superintendent for the Water Utility Operating Division.
Okay, salary, wage, budget summary, water utility.
Kevin, while they're looking, how many water main breaks have we had in the past year? There's quite a few, I understand.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm
Round,
saying
round numbers.
23, 24 since January 1st.
Water main breaks.
Yes.
And some of those were caused by that minor earth tremor we had last year?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know what.
I don't recall ever seeing that many in prior years as in that period, after an effect like that as I have. Is this, how many do you think we have every year prior to that?
If I would have gathered that information if I know.
I'm just
off the top
curious.
of my head.
Yeah.
Last year was a mild year. 38 last year.
Oh.
The year before, 47. The year before.
Oh, really?
that,
Okay, so.
58.
All right, so you're not, it wasn't the result of that earthquake we had?
Not necessarily.
Probably has to do with cold, too.
It's all weather related, our business for the most part.
I thought I struck gold, oil. Had water main break right in front of my house. I'm like, this is oil.
And you saw the problem in Hoboken, right?
No.
They had three breaks there the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And the result
Oh,
of the
yeah.
two shutting down the system resulted in a third.
Right.
The same thing happens to us.
Right.
On 229, we're not there yet?
No, we're on salary.
Oh, still? Okay.
Now we'll go to other expenses, budget request, water utility. Dad.
229,
Yes.
vehicle equipment, or is that a new vehicle?
Third replacement of vehicles.
How many?
2.
For 50,000?
One is 20,000, one is 30,000. One is a
Okay.
utility truck,
Right.
and one's a small pickup.
Finance system maintenance, you talking about phone? I'm sorry, 262.
That money is not controlled by me. Finance system maintenance is either Dave.
It's the tax collector's office.
Okay.
That's the admin system that we use for the billing.
Last year, we used 2,500. We requested 81. We're requesting 81 again.
I don't know if it just wasn't charged out properly, because that's a,
A wash?
well, no, it's just that, it's a pretty accurate estimate of what the bill, the bill is it's a monthly or whatever, but it's a regular bill. It's
What was
not,
the total that you had charged for last year?
8,100, sir. Oh, 2,500, according to my record.
My sheet, my closeout sheet, 262 was 57, 5939.
Okay, I'm only telling you what they gave me, but I believe you. Okay. 5929, that would make
59.30.
sense, okay.
I have a question. Number 324, the natural gas. I know we budgeted the same amount as we did last year, but we only spent just over 5,700 out of 17,500.
Yes, that's correct. Last year was a mild year. Natural gas is used for all our heating,
Right.
our heaters we have 37 facilities.
So that's basically just the weather controls what that's going to
Totally.
Okay.
303,
Yes.
electric pumping power. Last year, my records indicate 648.
Some of these numbers must be encumbered and the bills come in after 12/31.
That's without a doubt.
Okay.
Your
it's
electric bill-
actually as of 2/7, because
Yeah,
that's when we cut off and move
Okay.
into the new year.
I figured there was a reason.
Yes.
All right. I'm not questioning the total amount, but 263 web development, is that just prorated part of the township's website?
Yes.
Okay, 346, workman's compensation insurance. It's double from what's requested.
Those, the workers' comp totals are numbers that I get from our
The number?
workers' comp consultant.
66, you said?
And it's basically what we're self-insured for workers' comp.
So it's
So they look at pending cases, and they come up with a number. It was looking good. I think last year we did fairly well with workers' comp. This year, and it's not just because it's not so much the new cases, but it's the cases that are working their way through the workers' comp court. So we're working on settlements. And we had that pretty large settlement that we discussed with the council last week. And we just allocated out between the current fund and the utilities.
Object code 371, the maintenance of the inventory meters.
Yes.
Last year, we didn't spend any.
Yeah, I try and spread that out over 5 years. Every one of our master meters and our wells has to be checked
Okay.
within 5 years, and I try and spread that out. With the storm last year, we fell behind in our normal guy coming in to check them.
So every 5 years there?
They have to be done at least every 5 years.
Oh, okay. Because in our description here, it says annual calibration.
Well, I try and do so many a year
Okay.
and spread it out. Like I said, with Sandy, we didn't get to it. But the ones that we're due in the fall, we've done them already this year.
Okay. So each one doesn't have to be, every single one, all right, okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions for other expenses budget requests? Okay, capitals.
Just one
Okay,
quick
go
question. 512, purchase of water. Well, I know the Pudding Stone area, purchasing it from the MCMUA. Which is the Mount Pleasant Office Park?
Mount Pleasant Office Park.
Is that the one on Route 10?
I don't,
Object code 512.
oh, in the description?
Purchase from the SMC MUA water from Mount Pleasant Office Park.
All right.
Johnson.
Southeast
Johnson, right?
Morris, MUA. They supply the area of town across from campus.
Okay, that's okay. Are those the only? Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Okay. Are those the only
Triangle.
two neighborhoods that we purchase water?
Morris County MUA supplies Pudding Stone. Southeast Morris supplies by Route 10. And we have a contract with Jersey City for 100 million gallons a year.
Okay.
And I know whenever we get Jersey City water.
Yeah, and where is that in the budget?
That's part of the total.
That's part of 512.
Yes, on 512, there's a description of 3 utilities.
Oh, purchase. So okay, purchase from Jersey City. Okay.
Yep.
Excuse me. Now, how is it? Mr. DiPiero just said he knows when he's getting Jersey City water. I mean, how does that work?
We have a contract with Jersey City, 10-year contract, where we either take or, regardless, pay for 100 million gallons a year. And when we need that water in the summertime to offset our allocation, we take it from the Knoll Pump Station, which is over by Barber's building, and we pump it into Hiawatha area.
Okay, so is the Hiawatha area is the only part of Parsippany that's
Yeah.
getting Jersey City
Yes,
water?
because we
The
take
tank on Knoll Road is the one that gets the water, and whoever gets fed from that.
we take between 1 million and 2 million a day when we need it. In the summertime, we could pump up to 10 million, so it doesn't get to the other part of town.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but how much is, and you'll understand where I'm coming from, how much is the Knoll Country Club using as far as water?
I've pushed for this for years. I can't get Kevin to agree with me.
Why don't we
keep
just
saying-
use that water for the golf course?
Yeah, the golf course won't complain about the smell and the taste, but he says it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
I don't know why.
Well, because I had a study done after you asked me about it, and it would cost, and I don't have those figures because it was 8 years ago now. I'll bring that with me another time. But it would cost around $50,000 for a couple million gallons for them to use. It wasn't worth it. I had a consultant.
Okay.
report on it.
This wasn't conspiracy. I had no idea that you were even thinking of it. Just it seemed logical.
And then what else?
Because people in Parsippany want to drink Parsippany well water. They
Yes.
don't want to drink the reservoir water.
Without a doubt. And we try. But when
Is there any other way that we can use that allotment in someplace other than people's homes?
no,
The golf course is the only one.
and they don't use enough to warrant doing this. I also looked into using Rockaway Valley water from the treatment plant.
Yeah.
And same thing, it's not worth the pipeline that would be required for what we could get out of it.
How long are we locked in to Jersey City?
It's 10 years, the initial contract with an option to renew.
Yeah, but the DEP wants us to have an alternate water source, period.
We have to have it.
But we don't have to. We don't have to get it from Jersey City. We can get it from some of the other utilities.
Well, then you got to run a new pipeline from
There
someplace.
is no other water around.
Kevin, you try to pump the water at night so that it has time to settle, and
We run a whole gamut. We've changed the whole valving on Knoll Road over the past 5 years, where the first customer is up past Greenbank Road now, instead of directly across from the golf course. It's cut the complaints down dramatically. It depends on the years, and it depends on the temperature of the reservoir water. Right? That's the problem, the temperature. What we're getting from them is approximately 70 degrees. We're pumping 52 degrees out of the ground. It's like night and day. But
There's got to be some answer somewhere.
you let me know.
I just started thinking about it. There's got to be an answer.
Okay, division number 625, capital.
You know, I didn't write it down. How many gallons of water a year were you taking from Jersey City?
100 million gallons.
100 million gallons.
Any questions under capital?
Hold on. I'll paint those tanks for
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know what, I'll join you.
You can paint it for 100,000 because they're charging $1 million.
Is that gold paint?
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open up water utility to the public.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, at this time, I'll open up water utility to the public. Seeing no one come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Parks and Forestry, number 170, James Walsh, Superintendent, Parks and Forestry. Mr. Walsh, could you just give us a quick breakdown of responsibilities of your division?
The Parks and Forestry Department is responsible for maintaining all the the grounds at all the municipal buildings, maintenance and construction of parks, and also the street trees throughout the township.
Okay, up first, salary, wage, budget summary. Okay, other expenses, budget requests.
Come on. Just 1 minute.
$328 herbicides, used 0 last year, and they upped it up to 3,100 this year.
If you notice, some of my other accounts were over. So the herbicides, that budget or that line item I buy at the end of the year or the following year for the spring. So I would normally buy my chemicals and fertilizers and stuff in the fall, late fall. This year with Hurricane Sandy coming through, we had some unexpected expenditures that I had to use that money to fix equipment, and keep some fix some breakdowns that we had. So I went over in certain line items, but that's what we wound up doing.
Okay. May I? Number 501, tree stock and beautification. We're spending less than half than we did in the previous year.
No, I don't know what they're asking for half.
They're asking to spend less than they did in
Correct.
the previous year.
Last year, if you remember, I'm sorry. Last year we had the replacement of the pine tree out front here. That was $8,000 or $8,800. So that was the difference between last year and what we asked for this year.
Okay. Well, what's the status of replenishing the trees that were lost in the storms? From 2 years ago.
We're doing a grant through the community forestry program for about $93,000. There's one coming up to the council right now for $39,000 for final approval, I believe, and then we should get that money from the state. And that's going to replace quite a few of the trees that were damaged through the Hurricane Irene, the October snowstorm of 2011, and also some of last year's Hurricane Sandy.
Algebra Code 231. In the explanatory, it also includes not just Craftsman Farms, but Wattenung Gardens. Is that to maintain those exotic flowers that she has there, or is that something else?
No, it's basically for the structures and the buildings.
Oh, that's the buildings.
The buildings and the grounds, but not the flowers. For example, if we had to replace, this year we had to replace the well pump went bad in the house, and we put city water in, so that's where that would come out of. Part of that came out of that this year. So
Okay.
it's upkeep of the property, but not necessarily the exotic flowers.
Okay, well, we bought that to preserve the exotic flowers. Is what efforts being taken to keep Wattenung Gardens?
Well,
Oh,
we
we
have,
Go ahead.
we have Mrs. Don there. I have a full a caretaker who works and lives there. And we have a part-time master gardener who's assisting Mrs. Don. She started last year, the end of the season, on a part-time basis, about 25 to 30 hours. She'll be back there this year, and it seems to
Okay, that's
help
in it.
out.
Because the guy that you have, she was complaining, was not really learning how to maintain these flowers.
Can I answer something?
Go ahead.
I've been involved, Councilman DePiero, for the last year and a half with Mr. Walsh, the Environmental Committee. We actually went there with the mayor, about 15 people. I think what Mrs. Dunn is looking for is a servant to be there 100%. And I think that gentleman wasn't designed for that. I'm not answering for him. I'm just telling you what I know. I go there once a month now, and she hasn't had a complaint to me. I call her on the phone once a month. I go there once a month. Also, Laura McCloskey has been there once a month. I'm not sure what's the other. Lynn Pearson, I know,
Pearson, yes.
went there a few times. I don't know when the last
All
time
right,
she
all
went
right,
there.
let me rephrase my question. When Mrs. Dunn is no longer there, and that time is approaching,
We're working on that. We have the whole.
will Wattenung Gardens be preserved the way it was before?
It should be. That's the purpose of having our part-time, Patty Millar is our part-time employee who's working with Mrs. Don right now. She's writing a lot of the notes down. We do have
A book with all the.
a book. We finally got her book the end of last year with the plants, the ID. We're trying to make a map of the site, utilizing if we can, through the county, utilizing their mapping service, or their mapping programs.
Mr. DiPiero, I agree with you, and I see where you're going. I've been going to the, I guess, Wattenung Gardens, Mrs. Dunn's property for years. I mean, she's no spring chicken, and she's starting to slip. When I speak to her, she's starting. She doesn't even remember what she has there anymore.
This is being recorded.
No, it's. And I say that with all
Just a caution.
with all fondness.
Okay.
She's in her. The reality is, she is in her 80s, and and I think what you're asking is, what's the long-term future for Wattenung Gardens?
Well, that's what we're working on now.
But the answer is, I've been there and we're on it and we're working on it. I'm part of it, and I believe the mayor's office is part of it also.
Yes,
The mayor was there.
We have been in constant contact with Wattenung Gardens, and we're working on some of the issues of your concern, Councilman, as well. I believe that we will master it. I really do. We have the environmental committee who's really concerned, and they're very involved, and they're part of it. So, I think your concerns will be addressed. I can't give you 100% because when you look at what she's done over the years, I don't think you can ever copy what she's done.
Well, no, that was a labor of love with her and her husband. That was a labor of love, and you're not going to duplicate that, I'm sure. The point is, I was on the Open Space Committee when we purchased that. My whole concern was, how are we going to preserve this in the future when they're not there? Well, the husband's not there, and now she's getting older, and that was the whole value of Wattenung Gardens is all those, the way it was maintained and those plants were grown. And if we're not going to do that, then we've wasted our money.
I think we are doing that.
I'm okay.
We have somebody finally at the end of
learning.
last year. We've been putting I've been putting word out trying to get somebody up there, whether it was through the county or through Rutgers or someone, and we never had any takers. Last year, towards the end of the year, was when we finally had somebody who was interested enough to go up there and do the work. And she's coming back again this year. So at least we've got a foothold in there now that we've got somebody who's got some master garden experience, who's got a passion for this garden and is working with Helen to document as best as she can. Because like Mr. Nelson said, she doesn't remember a lot of what's there. What we're trying to get from her is what's there. And we're doing that to the best of our ability.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, capital.
Which page?
I believe it's 2 of 9. Jasmine D, is that falling under Parks and Forestry, or is that going to be Recreation?
No, that's Parks and Forestry.
Okay. This question is actually for the mayor. Mayor, before we agree on D as a whole, can you do a presentation on it?
On what?
That's the $3.8 million.
Oh, sure, that wouldn't be a problem. We'd have to,
Can we put it off until Saturday?
well, we have to first meet with our
Okay.
engineer. You have all the specs for that?
They're working on it now.
Okay, they're working on it.
I have
We could do a presentation, but it's not going to be the actual specs, you know.
Well, this is $3.8 million. I mean, it's not,
You have the concept plan, right?
Oh,
That
no.
Yeah,
doesn't-
we have the
The
concept
conceptual
plan.
plan hasn't changed, right?
Right.
We're probably still going with that design, aren't we?
Right.
Correct.
And am I reading it wrong? Am I reading it wrong now? But the 3.8 million, is that all being paid for through the Open Space Trust Fund?
We would bond.
Bond it
We might use some.
for the debt service, right?
We might use some cash.
Are we allowed? I guess we are. We're allowed to bond for
Oh, yeah.
right,
And
at
then-
this time-
improvements on it?
And then you use the trust fund monies to repay the bond.
Okay. At this time, I'm just.
I thought you can only bond with the Open Space Trust Fund for purchasing, not for the.
No, you can
No.
bond for
Okay.
improvements. It's under capital 525.
It's pretty much the completion of.
page
2 of 9.
This, what's it, 4 acres of land?
3.9.
Is it 4 acres of land?
Yes,
Is that the,
McDermott.
the McDermott property
Yes.
you're talking about?
yes,
Where we had knocked down the house,
yes, two houses.
and this is across the street from Grange Road?
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
Well,
Okay.
it's
fact,
Grange Road,
After the meeting,
yes.
if you want to come in and take a look at the,
And what were we gonna do there? We were gonna extend the park over to there, to that side?
we were going to name it after you, and then.
Okay, I approve it then.
Where is it on the east? Where is it on the east side of Grange Road?
It's on the Grange Road at the
It's-
bottom of the dead-end street to the left.
To the left.
Right.
and we would actually dead-end Grange before that and use
Right.
that end of
Correct.
Grange to be
Is
part
the
of.
whole
the
project
extension.
$3.8 million?
Yes.
Yes.
If we have money, why are we bonding 3.8? I mean, why not use $1 million out of
They
the,
said they were going to use something.
So that
We'll
we're
we'll
going to,
probably do some combination
yeah,
of
cash
bonding
and bonding.
and cash.
I'm not opposed to the project. Just at this time, until the council gets a say, I'm going to make a motion that we pull D
Oh,
off
wait a
tonight.
minute.
Well, this is the.
We
Is
all
this the
know
cricket
where it
fields?
is, and we all know we were gonna improve it before. Can you give us a verbal now of what improvements is gonna cost this amount of money?
We can bring you the concept plan.
You want,
on
you want to
All right,
speak?
all right,
Saturday.
I can give you an idea of
Okay.
what we're proposing right now. What would happen is we would be moving the tennis courts, removing the red barn that's there on Grange Road. The tennis courts would go on the other side of Grange Road. The turf field, multi-purpose turf field, which is approximately 300 by 365, would be down in that corner. It would be have a cricket pitch on it. It could be used for lacrosse.
Girls softball.
Girls softball. It's going to have a softball field imprinted in the turf itself.
Where's this? Where the tennis courts are now?
No, it's going to be down in the back.
Okay.
The tennis courts are going to be additional parking. You're going to come in the parking lot next to the diner, where it is now at the end of
Oh,
D
you're gonna
field,
extend it?
and that's going to be extended and go around to where the tennis courts are. That's going to be your parking. That's going to go out to Grange Road, and then you'll go back out Grange Road as an exit. So you'd almost have one entrance in, one exit out. We're gonna have new restrooms down in the back, restrooms over by, proposed between A field and D field, because the ones on B field are so small for the use that they just get overrun, after the first game. They're disgusting. And we don't have any way of, so we're gonna put additional bathrooms in, new basketball courts and handball court down in the back. The only thing that's basically gonna remain the same is the picnic area and the pavilion. But all the rest of that area is gonna be all changed.
Where are you gonna put the mulch going forward?
Hopefully, we won't have that much mulch anymore.
Go to my office. He's gonna get the, actual, what it possibly might look like.
I'm not saying I'm against the project. All I'm saying is if we have money, I don't see the point of bonding 3.8.
I don't think we have anywhere near 3.8 million. That would use up all our open space
When you
funds.
bond, you have to put up 5%.
Right.
Yeah, 5% is what you.
Right, but you wouldn't spend almost $4 million from the open space trust fund on this
no,
one
wouldn't,
project.
no.
Of course not.
No. No, and by the way, our interest rate for bonding is what, Jasmine?
It's almost like
2%?
Yeah, about 2.
Yeah, so,
Joe Joe?
But how much money do we have?
when-
5 million.
We want to stand over there.
Am I asking a question? Okay.
But only part of that is for, don't forget, only part of that is for park improvements.
Which is what, 50%?
40% is for park improvements.
Okay, so we have over $2 million.
But you don't want to, you don't want to use it all up.
All right, can I go down there? 'Cause I don't have my glasses.
okay, let's orient us. Where's Grange Road?
Grange Road is right here.
Right here.
Here's Route 46. Here's the diner.
Okay.
You're going to come in. This is existing parking lot. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and put additional parking here. Your tennis courts and the old building is here right now. We would move the restroom either here or down over here. And then take your basketball courts would be put here or maybe somewhere in here. This is your multi-purpose turf field, new tennis courts, lights on all.
Where would the wicket go?
I'm sorry?
The wicket.
It would go right in the middle here.
I see, okay.
Now, we don't have any, that wicket is new, right? Is there a season? I don't know anything about it. Is there a season for wicket, or is it year-round, or
Wicket,
what?
not wicket.
Cricket?
Wicket's the pitcher, man.
Is there a
I know.
season for that? I have no idea.
Year round.
Year round, they
Well, see, I'm just wondering, if that's the case, and that's gonna be used for cricket, then when does softball get to use it?
they'll use it as well.
That's going to be a scheduling.
So that, it's gotta be
Agenda.
worked out, then, it's not gonna be
Correct.
just one sport there?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a multi-purpose, multi-use field.
Okay.
What's the measurements of the actual
And
turf?
it's different. Well, the turf is going to be different than our 3 turf fields that we have now, in that it's going to be a lower pile, because I call it a small ball field. It's not going to be a football or soccer field. You need something, for example, field hockey and cricket needs something a little bit harder and faster.
You couldn't play football there because it's not made for the tackle.
Well, you probably could. We haven't really done the total specs on it, but it's going to be a different turf than the 3 that we have now. It's going to be made specific for a small ball sport.
How far is the fence gonna be from home?
You won't be able to hit a home run.
You're 300 by 365, I think, right now.
Okay.
Again, it's going to be a softball field, not going to be a baseball field.
Right, right.
Probably 65-foot bases, 60 and 65-foot, where we can.
Technically, women and men for softball.
But yes. Again, it's all going to fall into how the schedules work out.
But that, I just want to make sure I heard right. That is going to be a dual-use cricket field as well.
More,
Yes.
More.
Yeah, it'll be
or
used for a lot
try.
of different
Well,
things.
it's going to be. It can be cricket. It can be field hockey. It can be lacrosse. It can be softball. The only two sports that I don't see having any heavy use on it is soccer and football, because there are 3 other fields for those sports.
All right. And this is just a concept, right? It can change.
Yes.
Oh, it can change.
Okay.
This is to get us our estimate. This is where, we plan it out and we sit around in the office with little cutouts of these and we move them around, see where they fit.
So with the cricket, they can play all the way into the night, and there'll be no.
Right. You're not going to disturb anybody. You have,
Would there be
you have
lighted,
commercial
would there be
office
lighted
buildings
tennis
here.
courts as well?
Yep, everything is going to be lighted. The tennis courts, the multi-purpose field, the basketball and the handball courts are all going to be lit. And they're all going to be
The
on
beauty
a...
of that over there is there's no residential you're bothering with the lights.
Well, that's why I'm asking. No, I'm asking. I want lights over there.
Yeah,
If they're going to
yeah.
do it, of course.
There's no sense in having an artificial turf field without lights.
No, I was talking about the tennis courts.
Yeah, but even this, there's no sense in doing
No,
it.
no, no.
So, yeah, everything's going to be lit.
Jasmine,
Yes?
this is, this bonding of the 3.8 specifically for this project, correct? If this project doesn't happen, we're not using this money for something else, correct?
No, you,
You don't, when we approve this bonding, okay, it doesn't get spent. It doesn't get turned into money until they start building it.
I know, that wasn't my question.
Well, it's not real. What's real is the 5% we're gonna budget for. The bonding itself,
You'll vote on separately. The bond issue?
yeah.
I'm only asking a question. Thank you, Mr. DePiero. I'm going to re-ask my question. If this project doesn't happen, the bond doesn't happen, correct?
I'm trying to think, I know the Veterans Park bond was very specific to Veterans Park. What about some of the other park?
Most of our bond ordinances, other than veterans, was for parks.
It was general, so that you could...
General,
So you could transfer...
Yes.
It can be written, if that's what the council wants, very specifically geared towards.
Well, this is entitled Smithfield Park Expansion, so I expect that that's what it's gonna be used for.
I would too.
But
Not for other parks.
I want to
but-
make sure.
But the way
I would
that
want it, yeah.
almost all of our bond ordinances are written is to be a little bit more general. But you can ask that this money be very specifically designated.
Well, I mean, I'm not against if you have 100,000, 200,000 left over and you want to beautify something and be
That's
agreeing, that's
Smithfield.
fine.
That's
But I'm
Smithfield.
saying,
Well, if you're gonna, if this is gonna be tried to make a general purpose, then it should say Smithfield Park and others, not Smithfield Park Expansion. Either it's gonna be and others, or it's gonna be Smithfield Park. I would prefer
when-
it to stay Smithfield Park Expansion, that's what we're
When-
approving.
When,
It usually says,
when we get to the bond ordinance, then we can
Write it
discuss
as you
how
want it to be.
specific
okay,
you want to be.
okay.
Because it will be shown as as a separate item, under the bond.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'm prepared to not have to take.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I withdraw my motion. Okay, anything else under capital?
Custom ice rinks, I know it's not in there, but did we ever successfully flood the skate rinks so that we could use them for ice skating? Was that ever done?
we did up here on the concrete rink. It takes a lot of man hours. I call it caveman ice because that's about what we make. You got to have cold weather, just like you would in a pond.
Yeah.
The problem with the concrete rink is that it's made so that water doesn't stay on. It's got a pitch to it for roller hockey. So when we go to make ice, you have 4 inches in the middle and you have 14 inches on the end. That's the pitch. But we didn't do it this year, and we didn't do it this winter or the winter before.
Well, the winter before was too warm, but this,
And this winter, we only had a couple of, about a week or so of below freezing weather that would have been conducive to ice. We normally start the end of October, beginning of November. We put the liner in, we flood it, and then we let the water, acclimate as it gets colder. This year, we had the hurricane come through, and the weather just wasn't cold enough for the labor to get that much out of it.
okay.
Right. I digress for just 1 second. Just something occurred to me, and it's not even with the budget. Does the county ever talk to you or consult you or even tell you anything that they're going to be doing up on my side of town by Greystone with the parks? Or do you just not even exist on their radar?
Well, we do work with the county on certain projects. Up on Central Ave, we don't really have any input or any information up there.
Do they even, Jasmine, do they ever even let you know what's going on?
They usually contact the mayor's office,
Right.
yes.
The-
They've done that pretty consistently, just as a courtesy.
Right now with Greystone, we're just waiting to hear back from the state in regards, and then what we'll do is I'll sit with the mayors of other surrounding towns, and I spoke about recreation there and a whole bunch of other things as well.
Because the reason why I ask is the county is, I mean, Greystone is in Parsippany.
Most of it is.
I mean, most of it's in Parsippany. Something eventually is going to happen, and it's getting to the recreation, parks and recreation part. Something eventually is going to be done, something with the main building. And everything that the county is doing on the rest of the property has effect of what's going to happen with what you're going to have to decide on in the future. And that's where I was leading to.
One of the things, idea of Roy Mesmer was to bring a spring training Yankees. Oh, excuse me, Roy.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open up public for Parks and Forestry.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi,
Second.
second by Mr. DiPiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, at this time, I'll open up the public on Parks and Forestry.
Start on? Hello?
Yes.
I'll be quick. Sheep farm. Jim, I guess Joe's been involved in it over the years too. Up in Rant Way, it's excellent. The volleyball courts, the trails, everything. Something to consider with the sheep farm. I know that the soccer club's renting the house now, but they're not going to be using that whole property for soccer practice or anything. At least I haven't heard anything. But that sheep farm property, which we've owned for about 10 or 11 years and nothing's been done with it, same thing. Volleyball courts, they're not expensive. Horseshoe pits, but you bring your own horseshoes.
Right. What about
You
what about just picnic tables? Something passive.
Yeah, but, I like people
Barbecues.
getting off their butts, though. Isn't that okay with Jonathan?
I think you're gonna have
But-
a lot of
But,
people
I
complain.
mean, that property, we didn't buy it for water retention or anything like that. And that's been sitting there 10 or 12 years. And those people on that side of town should be entitled to some. If you have young kids living in Mazda Brook, Forge Pond, they can't walk over to Smith.
Well, I do have a conceptual plan for the back part of that sheep park or sheep farm for a neighborhood park. Again, it would be along the lines of like Forest Drive, something where you, like Roy said, where you would walk to the park. There'd be a toy, there'd be, small stuff, a couple picnic tables.
I was thinking of a bocce ball court myself.
We could put a bocce ball court in, horseshoe pits, something for the neighborhoods that are there that they could use the back, but it's the back part of it, which we have a conceptual plan for.
Jim, I'm not looking to bust your chops, but you and I go back a long time. Why now, though? We've had it for 12 years. Why didn't we do this 12 years ago? It wasn't a money factor, was it? It's not expensive. We did Mountain Way like that.
It's more of a, a priority.
I guess you would have to use more parking.
Well, we probably wouldn't put any parking. As a neighborhood park, you don't want any parking.
Well, where do people? Oh, just walking.
It would be a neighborhood
Walking.
park. If
Okay.
you're from the neighborhood or from the
Yeah,
surrounding.
we have like 14 parks, right, in town now, the neighborhood parks,
There's probably around that many, yeah.
around that many, and the whole purpose is, I was just being facetious with the bocce ball. We do have several of those now that we use when we have the Sons of Italy picnic. But those parks were supposed to be walkers, so you don't need parking. You're right.
Right.
That was the whole purpose of them. But now the residents there would be the
Benefit.
all along Smith Road and the Masterbrook.
Plus, Mike, you got 52 townhouses going up soon. A couple years, right? Which you approved last week. right?
Yeah,
So,
on Smith Road.
yep. Next thing. Do I know Mr. Schlinger, Dick Schlinger? I don't know if any of you know him up there.
What's his name?
Unbelievable basketball coach, Dick Schlinger. Used to work with Dave Bond in recreation. The man might not want something named after him, but first call might be to see if Dick would. I'd love to see those basketball courts have a little plaque up there, Mr. Schlinger's name. I could tell you about the girls at Parsippany Hills. He got them to a state championship, just like our little Vikes have done so well with the football team. Dick might come in here and slap me around because he wouldn't want something like that. But he probably would. I know. He probably would. But that man gave a lot of back to this town. And somebody wants to fight me on this, you named, not you or you, but you know who, and you know I was totally against it. You know my favorite. Generone Park. That man did not deserve that park being named after him. But Dick Schlinger deserves to have a basketball courts named after him. Next thing, maybe when Joe comes up, or he can come up now, Joe will tell you, just like I will, when kids, and Brian, you know baseball, when you go from 46 to 60-foot diamond up to the 90-foot, 60 foot 6 inches, that's a big jump. There are very few kids that can do it. My son played when he went from 12 to 13. We played in a fall league. Tony Serbo had it. It was superb. You had leading. This renovation over here, maybe Joe can answer it later. Would that be possible to have a 50-foot, 70-foot basis?
We have one now.
We do?
Taylor
Yeah.
Park in Parsippany is converted. We have a league in Parsippany for 50-70. It's new this year, Troy East.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes.
oh, you do? Oh,
have
that's
signs
right.
going on right
Well,
now,
where's the
50-70.
field, though, right?
Uh,
Down at the
Little
complex?
League East complex. Taylor Field's converted.
Fantastic.
And if you remember the team that won the Little League World Series last
Yep.
year?
Oh,
They now have a 50-70 Little League World Series. So they're going to stick together for one more year. But we do have one field. All they have to do is take the mound in, and it's good to go.
Fantastic. The only problem is the Troy West parents, we're going to have to. But well, my question is then, this field that's going to be for cricket, softball, would that be possibly used for 50-70 then? Can we set up so we can put the pegs in?
It depends on what the requirements are.
Because what did you say, Mayor? The fence was 365?
Yeah, that's short.
The foul lines,
The fe-
300 and 365.
That is a big fence.
That's a big.
365 it was?
This is
That's-
big for softball.
That's big enough.
The field
But
dimension.
you're right, though, Roy. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's-
these kids going from,
Oh, but if,
The
that's,
outfield plays on the infield dirt, you know.
Yep.
So.
last thing, this isn't going to take long to explain, but Councilman DePiero can tell you I've been on this mission for a while. And it's the first time ever I've sat in front of you guys or the Board of Ed and I said aye. And I'm going to say aye, though. I brought in $6,000 for that house that you're going to finally rent to somebody at the sheep farm. Would I like to see that is that in the budget this year somewhere? I know it's only $6,000, but it's in the budget, right? Under revenue? That's
The sheep farm
the
has
sheep
been
farm house.
leased out, licensed
Licensed
out.
out, right?
It's already been
What I'd like
licensed
to
out.
see you, this
Oh, I see what you're
elected
saying.
officials consider, it's a small amount of money. No, small amount of money. But families who have a husband or a wife or even a child who's a major wage earner and is contributing to paying the mortgage or taxes, take that $6,000. If you spread it out to a couple of reservist families, maybe 6 families, it's $1,000 against their real estate taxes. You do it for the township employees, and you know I'm against that. If you don't do it for everybody in town some way, somehow, you shouldn't do it just for the one side. That's it. I've discussed this many times.
Right,
Thank you.
I think I lost you. You want to take the money that we're receiving for the licensing fee and using it towards tax relief for...
for the
Okay,
veterans.
okay.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
First of all, just in 25 years that I'm in this town,
Can you just, your
my name
name?
is, Casey Perique, 50 Meadow Bluff Road.
Thank you.
Okay. 25 years in this town, and probably only Councilman DiPiero knows about this. This is the 4th plan I have seen here for the cricket field at different locations, and one also, I participated in most of the plan, and except this one, and the one from Morris County Park Commission. I spent a lot of time with them, during the design phase of it. And looked like it's going to happen by Greystone, right? And I was told the economy is bad, the funding is not there, and we can do it. All other times, I was very hopeful. I thought it will happen because the economy was good. We were doing fairly well, but it didn't happen. So I'm really not sure why now. And if it didn't happen all these years, because even when economy was good, right now it's not that good. People are suffering. And we are going to spend $3.8 million on this. I'm not saying don't do it. Of course, it's a cricket field, long overdue, but I'm just wondering, is this going to happen? $3.8 million in this economy. I really want you to think about it. Okay? But this is the 5th plan I have seen in 25 years. So I'm not too sure.
You make a good point about the economy, but also the economy dictates the interest rates as well, and the rates are very, very low. And I would imagine when the economy gets good, the rates aren't going to be as low as But it's
I disagree with you, Mayor. When the rates are low, I'm not going to go and buy bigger home just because the rates are low. I'm not going to go crazy on a shopping spree because the rates are low.
We're not going on a shopping spree.
So no, that's what I'm saying. The rates are low. There should not be a determining factor to spend money. Okay? Right. It should not be. But anyway, just my 2 cents, because I've seen this many times and it has not happened. Keeping the hopes. Those people who thought they will be able to play cricket in this town, they are probably somebody at my age who don't want to play anymore. And I'm in favor of this. I played cricket for University of Bombay. I've done that. I know how important it is for the youngsters. But it's kind of, not sure. It's 25 years, very disappointed 25 years. Just another comment on another thing I heard today, that trees like mine stayed on my, township trees on my property since the snowstorm of 2011. I called forestry office. I called the township, here few times. Talked to mayor about that. I sent emails, and nothing happened. But tonight here, I heard the explanation why nothing happened, because we were waiting for some money to come. Why can't we communicate? I spend a lot of time, aggravation, emails, phone calls. Why can't we just communicate on our website saying that we'll not be doing this because we are waiting for some money to come in? First time I'm hearing this. I'm very disappointed. I just spent $500 last week getting rid of the township trees on my property. That tree was about this tall with one small branch. And if I tell every one of you, come and visit Meadow Bluff Road. You'll see a lot of those kind of township trees, small trees, big stumps with 1 or 2 branches, really ugly. So just communicate with us. We'll understand that we don't have money. We are waiting for some money to come from the state or wherever it is. But just, not communicating, I called so many times. I must have tried at least 10 to 15 times to get rid of that tree. Nothing happened.
This is the tree by the sidewalk?
Yeah, that's the township tree.
By the sidewalk?
We don't have a sidewalk, but it's a township tree in the front of the house.
I see.
And I tell you that there are many trees like that in my area.
Casey, you're right. Our whole mountain got
desperate. We have talked about this in the past, the trees through the storms, and it was going to be a process of taking these trees down. It wasn't going to happen all at once. We said this in October of 2011. It has been discussed. There would be a process. It wasn't going to happen all at one time.
I never said that it's going to happen.
Well, that's how it sounds right now.
No, but what it is what I heard tonight, that we are waiting for some money to come in. That was never told to anybody.
Casey,
right? That's
the question I was trying to get at was, why was so little money being spent on the tree replenishment? Because you're right, it has been a slow process.
Yeah.
I know on our whole mountain, pretty much every township tree we lost.
Right.
The pear trees, you lost certain types of trees. For us to go in a year's time to try to replace all those trees, and I spoke to Jimmy Walsh on several occasions, I know we discussed it here, because we had issues with these types of trees. The cost to the township could be astronomical if you tried to replace them within a certain amount of period with say, a year or less.
And also, when you take a tree out and you stump grind, you have to get underground markings. There's a whole lot involved in doing this. So in an effort to be efficient, do it once. When we get the trees, we take the old ones out, get all the markings, and we'd be in and out and done. You know, to get anything from the state, it's been 14 months of trying to get.
No, I understand. I was just asking because there's very little money budgeted in for the replenishing of the trees.
But the state has,
is that what you were trying to get at?
Yeah, I mean,
the state has plenty of money
we started
for us, and that's where I think we need to be using that. We shouldn't be using township money when the money is there specifically from the state for these projects. It's because of the state building roads and not reforesting in Parsippany that this money is available, and I don't think that I should be asking in my budget for money from our local people when there's money from the state. But it takes time, and I think that was explained. That I know I.
Well, no, that was the first time it was ever explained to us.
It's been explained in the past.
It was explained that yes, it will take some time. But now first time I heard that we are trying to get some money. That's why it's taking time. Because there were 5 houses on my street. About a year ago, somebody came, took the stamps, started grinding. They grounded the stamp, everything. And it stopped. I was hoping that it's only 5 houses from me now. I'll be next. So, I mean, if somebody explains, that's all I'm asking here. I know it takes time. We had 2 storms after that, right? So I understand that. But at least, somebody explains so that when I call, I don't even get called back.
I have to tell you, I'm in a neighborhood where they started the project too. They took the trees down, the stumps are there, and when I called, I was told they're waiting on grant money.
Well, what I'm going to do is
Maybe because you are a council
I called
president.
No,
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I did.
My neighbors called too, and they were told the same. They're just waiting on grant money, and then it'll be continued.
I was.
Casey, you know what I had to do? I just put my own tree in.
Yeah, I just spent $500
I did
last
too.
week.
I put a new maple tree in.
Okay, thank you.
Casey, to answer your question, or partially answer your question about why now for the Smithfield Park expansion, we've been working on that project for maybe 7, 8 years, maybe more, to try to negotiate to buy the property. The family was, in fact, they even developed plans to build rental apartments down on that property at a point in time. It took us years and years before it came around to the descendants of to actually sell that property to us. This was a plan we had for many, many years, and we just couldn't bring it to fruition until we owned the property.
I understand. Because the one before this was by Greystone, so I'm not sure what we were trying to buy there.
Well,
But
Greystone is this is centrally located. It's more convenient for more
Right.
Parsippany to get to a central area than to one extreme end of
And
town.
I believe we own this property. Greystone, we didn't own. Greystone was a
Greystone was a-
17-acre tract.
I
that-
think
Well,
it was
there
a
was a
20, it's a
discussion, there was a
25-year
drawing just
lease.
like this. So,
And
you wanna-
Yeah, but the county, that's the
And,
county's
but also,
Not the county.
for Greystone, the leveling of
No,
the
we don't own it.
property alone was $2 million, wasn't it $2 million
It was
just to
something-
level it?
It was something very high.
Yeah, they gave us
Actually,
a hill.
Jasmine, I'm kind of glad that
Yeah.
that wasn't done because
Well, one of the mayor also
yeah.
considered that, what is that trail, Sharky's dump or
I never-
something?
that
One of the
was
mayor
not
was thinking
me.
of that too. So, tells you.
Thank you.
See no one else come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close Parks and Forestry.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Forrest, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
yes.
Yes.
Mr.
Oops,
Nelson?
sorry. Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
Thanks.
Good night, thank you.
Next up, Recreation 180, Joe Plessia, Superintendent of Recreation.
Good evening, everyone.
If you could just give us a quick background of,
Okay, the Recreation Department handles the scheduling and permitting of all the fields and facilities in the township. We also run recreation programs for children, approximately 1,000 children in our summer programs. We also oversee special events, 4th of July, the parades, the concerts, things like that.
me a second there, Mr. Flesh.
No problem.
Mr. Plesha? Joe? Or are we only on,
Right now, we're just
on
on
salaries?
salary wage.
Okay. The Fall Festival, $22,000.
I did not put that in the budget. The mayor did.
Mayor, I put it in the budget.
He can explain it.
What is salary, why would it be under salaries?
Huh?
That's overtime.
The 22,000 for
It's for overtime.
overtime. That's what I believe it is. It wouldn't actually be
It's-
my department.
It's mostly police overtime.
Are we using any of those, what do you call it? Not volunteer police. but-
Specials?
Yeah,
That's something I have to discuss with the chief due to the PBA and SOA.
but can we use any?
I'll
Isn't
organize-
there a
I'm working
formula
on that.
somewhere?
I'm working on that.
So this $22,000 is just police overtime for the one day?
Yes.
I just have a question, Mayor.
From
I'm sorry, Mr. Flesh. We have to use police when you do something like that?
Yeah, you would have to, yes. I mean, you have to control both sides of the roads, streets.
Right, well, I'm saying, you
Gotta
have
put
to
some
use,
money.
but
You couldn't
so they
use,
tell you how much you have to use?
directing traffic.
yeah, that's,
No, I'm not asking that, I'm saying, but,
We're trying to reduce the number of police
Right,
officers
that's
that
what I
we
meant,
use,
because you don't know how many people
not-
are gonna come.
Not for traffic, but at the intersections
Right.
where, along North Berwick Road where the,
right.
I mean, I could see
When
that
you
you
close the
would,
side streets.
yes.
I mean, at the ends of Beverwick Road, I could certainly see that you would need regular full-time officers directing traffic on that busy road, but, I mean, how many cops is that?
there's a lot.
It's a lot.
And again, it's probably.
Because, like on the side streets coming down, I guess, are you figuring that you'll be just having officers at Lakeshore and Beverwick?
No,
preventing cars
we
from-
have, traditionally, we've had, I think, 2 police officers at every intersection. Even on the side streets. And you know what, you do.
I mean, that could be a special, on the smaller
do,
side streets,
but
you can
know
have
what?
special officers
You
doing
do, well, there are certain things that we can use specials for and some things that we can't use specials for.
I never thought you needed any. Put up your barricades on the Parks and Forest, you put up barricades so they can't use the side streets onto North Beverwick Road, and you're done. Why do you need all those-
there are no,
those
if
police
there are no
officers?
police officers there, people will go through those barricades. They will move the barricades, they'll go through them, just like
And
they
drive
do.
through it with
Just-
people?
You need an officer
Just
per
like you,
certain
like,
amount
just
of
like they
Right.
do when roads are flooded and we put up barricades, they'll drive right through and get stuck in the water.
It's the truth. I mean, New Road's a perfect example.
Yeah, but it's a difference between being stupid and
I've-
getting stuck
I've
in
seen it
water
done.
and plowing people over.
I've seen it done before, not necessarily in Parsippany, but I've seen people move barricades and.
Oh, it's
and-
everywhere.
Now, I
just go right through.
I go to a festival in Seaside, and if it's an organization doing, like here, it's the Kiwanis that runs it.
No, the town's running it.
Oh, the town runs it? Okay. And,
Kiwanis and all whatever, they help out.
right. No, my point being, okay, I understand the town runs it, but doesn't the organization have volunteers to, they
When it
don't
comes
do
to
anything? They don't do anything?
The thing is, when it comes to public safety,
Right.
when it comes to policing, you can't, I don't think you can put volunteers to police. You have to have police.
No, I'm not talking about police, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Right.
Cleaning up, doing anything.
Oh, they do help out. They take
Oh,
the
okay,
tents
that's
down,
what
do
I'm
that kind
asking
of
you.
stuff as
Okay.
well. Well, no, they don't pick the garbage up, but they take their own tents, every, in their areas. But then we have our sanitation workers clean up the streets, because at the end of the day, they'll clean it up.
But I thought you were thinking about going to Veterans Park. That idea is out.
I don't think it would work as well. It works better over here. It's a merchant.
People like it being a street fair. They just kind of like the atmosphere of a street fair.
Well, I think it needs to be studied out. But that's fine.
Anything else on that page?
Anything else on salary wage? Okay, other expenses, budget request. We have 462 special events, just wonder why it was doubled.
We put extra money in this year for, you look at that microscopic spreadsheet. You'll see the breakout of it. Put some extra money in this year. We were looking to have a band and sound system at the 4th of July fireworks. We'd also have to have a generator there.
Okay.
So that's the majority of it. There was $6K I put in there for that.
And then 698 the fall festival.
That was the same thing. That went in, the mayor administration put that in the budget. The way I understand it, the 30,000 was for the toys and things, that the blow-ups that were at the event, and then the rest was a band, a stage. Barbara's more familiar with it, and I guess
Should've told
Jasmine.
Barbara here then.
I've never been here for one of these events. So.
Okay. I have a follow-up question, but I won't even ask it.
It's $30,000 in my.
Yeah, no, I know. I have a follow-up, but I don't think you'll be able to answer the question.
You can shoot. Try.
No,
Well, ask the question, and the administration. will
actually, I just lost my. I lost
answer
my
back
train
from
of thought.
Barbara.
Are you just trying to collect donations to offset whatever our costs are?
Well, basically, this all originated from a lot of phone calls that a lot of residents wanted to have the street fair back. I love the fact of having that community outreach, people coming together. But also, a young lady from Intervale School, her name is Jamie Enter, she came to my office in regards to the street fair, and she's trying to collect monies from some computer magazine, and I know she got some donations and stuff, and she wants to do things for the Wounded Warriors. But in the end, it was more so that a lot of residents wanted to have the street fair back, if at all possible, if the council feels if it's necessary. I think, you know, when it was removed from the budget, at that time we got, you know, we lost $1.2 million in state aid, 2% cap. Well, this year was a better year. We had almost 5% increase in revenues. And, you know, if it wasn't such a, if I got a lot of negative calls in regards to it, I didn't. There was a lot of phone calls, a lot of people saying to me, we'd like to have it back. It was so nice to have it. Other towns do it. They go to other towns, a lot of residents go to other towns' street fairs instead of our own. We don't have it though, but now we have it back if council feels it's necessary to have it.
No, I'm not saying that. It's it's almost $60,000. Could you just explain like how?
I think we just did. We talked about overtime.
No, not the money, but what the actual day is going to be like.
It's like it always is.
Is it just going to be the vendors out on the street,
Vendors out on
people
the
walking
streets.
from
You
one
have
end to
a lot of
Beverly?
organizations in the towns.
It's almost more organizations than
Yeah,
vendors.
it's our own organizations in town, from Historical Society, Environmental Committee, you'll have
Library,
there.
Girl Scouts.
Yeah, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, you know, Boy Scouts, I mean,
Rotary.
Kiwanis, Rotary.
Get any of
Crestman's
the local, like the local restaurants doing like?
Yeah, well, if they
you know, storefront.
Yeah, they can do.
Veterans have booths.
Storefront
Yep.
food.
And the veterans have booths as well. It's one big community event in one spot where you can, you know, meet all your organizations in town, as well as, you know, kids having a good time that day.
Mayor, I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying it's one body within the whole town that makes a lot of money off of the street fair. I think it's the first time back. How many people and exactly how many people we need? We don't need an overkill like the word that Councilman DePiero used. We need safety, but
Well, what I think you're going to get this time, you're going to get a big crowd because it's back.
okay.
And I honestly, I'm not going to mess with public safety. I just think that you secure the area the best you can. And, you know, that's just me personally.
And you know, we are going to try to bring the number of police officers down. No, we're not, just because you put it in the budget doesn't mean we're going to spend everything. If we can avoid spending that money, we're going to do it.
Well, if you have like a street like Chesapeake, which goes across North Beverwick Road, and you put a barrier on the east end, you put a barrier on the west end, okay? Why can't one patrol officer watch two barriers that are right across the street from each other instead of having two
Right.
different police officers?
And that's something we,
And even have a special, even a special officer on the street like
We are going to
that.
try to reduce the number of police officers.
All right.
Ending those
I'm saying we
intersections.
don't
We
have
all-
2, we have 4.
what will happen is,
Yeah, we're all saying the same thing.
but what will happen is the chief will do a study to see what he believes is necessary for that area.
I agree. He'll have the final word, but as
Right.
long as we're looking to cut costs.
But, Mr. DiPiero, if we're going to budget $22,000 for police overtime, he's going to...
The way I understand that whole 22,000 is for police. There's DPW, Parks and Forestry, sanitation.
Yeah, they have to clean up the mess after.
Oh, I was under the impression that was all police, the
No, no.
22,000.
Most of it is
Most of it's police.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's sanitation to clean
Yeah,
up
sure,
the place
of course.
afterwards.
And we also
Debris in the
operate,
street.
we operate the buses from the parking lots.
I can't hear you. I can't.
The buses.
Oh, the buses, that's right. Yeah, shuttles.
Okay.
But I'm glad to see it back. I got a lot of feedback from residents that were disappointed when this was cut out of the budget.
Well, if we're gonna have it, I think you should advertise it.
We're gonna advertise it. In fact, on Saturday morning, you're gonna get a speech from a young lady. She's gonna come here and speak to you guys. So if anybody has doubts, maybe she'll change your mind.
No doubts in my mind.
I don't
either.
have doubts at all. I'd just like to see.
I just don't want to
more
see
come
4
in on
police
donations.
officers on one corner.
So, be nice. Maybe some of the businesses will donate something to cut it. Okay. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion. Open up the public on recreation.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi,
Second.
second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. At this time, I'll open up the public on recreation only. And Roy said he wasn't coming up.
You lied?
The last one, right?
That's all right.
All right, I'm gonna start the clock.
Roy Messman, 10, I lied. Okay. 2 years ago, because I didn't come to any of the budget meetings last year, I saw Joe shake his head. That bandstand at Veterans, we have, 4 concerts now a year?
Yes.
That's a lot. It's a $250,000 structure. We use it 4 times a year. Troy East used it this year. That was a great ceremony. How about the Battle of the Bands? Get in touch with the Board of Ed. You know what I like to see it? The week before the football season starts.
That's pretty
And
good. Big
and
bonfire.
have donations out there, a couple barrels. Tell people no cash, write a check out to whatever organization. You come in, you throw it in. That will pay for the police. And I think it'd be fantastic. I mean, a lot of people agree with me. In an indirect way, we even know the Board of Ed said something that he thought it was a good idea. And according to them, I don't come up with any good ideas.
Well,
But-
the band directors are not working yet at that time, are they?
I think he means independent
He's talking
bands.
like rock bands, battle
Yeah.
bands.
Oh,
Kids,
rock,
not marching bands.
No, the 2 marching bands.
Oh, okay.
No, the
I-
two
the high
the two
school
high
bands.
I got you wrong.
Then
Yeah.
you
I
have,
don't.
but the band directors don't start school until a day before school or 2 days before school opens.
But Mike, I'm sorry, I always talk fast. Football usually starts the 2nd week in September. Do it the Saturday night, or I like Friday nights. Have that Friday night. I think the Board of Ed will go with this. Do you guys come up with a theme yet for the street fair? Because each year we always had it.
We don't have a
Okay.
thing yet.
No, okay.
You got one in your mind?
No, not really.
Sure, you're working on it?
No, I'm not working on that. Something to contact the Board of Ed. You go into the big library and you go to the Board of Ed office, the artwork these kids do is unbelievable. See if they could put it up there and sell it. People, you auction it off. A fundraiser. It really is. I was impressed. Okay.
Yeah, Assemblyman Bucco just has artwork from the VOTEC in his office.
They do it in the county buildings.
Yeah, but he paid out of his contribution account, though. Thanks, Joe.
See no one else come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close the public on recreation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. I'll entertain a motion to open this meeting up to general public hearing.
So
Second.
moved.
Motion by Mr. DiPiero, second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes, at this time, I'll open this up to the public. You'll be given 5 minutes to speak. See no one come forward, entertain a motion to close the public.
Motion to close.
Motion by Mr. DiPiero, second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. Do I hear the ultimate motion?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by
Second.
Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. Good night, everyone.